lost so much weight. It's crazy. I left at like 210 and a half and 205 and a half. I thought, dude, Jay and I were on the mountain eating sausages, bacon, thick food.
Yeah.
Uncrustables. Like,
love those.
They were delicious.
They're so good.
We were at the grocery store before we went up, and he's like, the Uncrustables. Zach was like, the Uncrustables. And we're like, all right, yeah. He's like, yeah, we won't have time to make our own. He's like, it's a little bit much. So we'll just get those. We bought like 3 boxes. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, just mowing through them. But I thought I would lose weight.
Yeah.
Did not lose weight. Or, gain weight. Did not gain weight. I lost weight. Lost weight.
Mountain calories.
It was, it was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing about this podcast and what we're about to do, what Jay and I saw, like, the perspective that Jay is going to give is really what I want to hear. Because this son of a bitch the whole time was so secretive about the content he got. We weren't in any service, so to be able to download and pull, and like, there was no outlet to plug things into, so draining batteries. Like, but Jay, whenever pictures came, or like the shot, the video, I have not seen anything. Everything from this trip is fully on like my perspective in my head.
Yeah.
Not Jay's, not anybody else's. It's just purely on me. So I don't know what Jay's about to say.
Just what I'm about to say. I mean,
just in general about like
the main conversation that we had was, what we saw out there, pictures will never do it justice.
Yeah.
That's
never do it justice. It was the most breathtaking scenery I've ever seen. I now understand why people pack up an RV, head out west.
Yeah. Like
for a month long. They're like, we're going to travel the country. And I'm like, bitch, what are you doing in an RV for fucking a month?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably shoot somebody. No. I completely get it. I was like, Jay, and on the way home, I'm like, I understand. I would actually pack the family up for 30 days and head out and go see everything out there. We were driving by just a mountain, like, oh my God, look at that. It's a no-name mountain that just looked beautiful. And I'm like, this is fucking insane that this is how people live out here. Mm-hmm. It was nuts.
Yeah.
It was nuts. But we're going to get into it, all the good stuff. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the HWMF Podcast. I'm your host, Seth Feroce, here with my heterosexual life mate, Bob.
Good morning.
And also our esteemed colleague who has been with us for 6+ years now, Jason.
Hello.
He was on the bear hunt with us. And, Tristan is also here.
I was not on the bear hunt.
No, he was not. You were in there in spirit, though.
Yeah.
Asking a ton of questions, bringing the heat this morning. Like velociraptors and shit. Dinosaurs. Tell you what, some of the birds out there did look like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Seeing them like a sandhill crane, I completely understand why people think their pterodactyls have become birds or velociraptors into birds. They fucking look like it.
It's science. They have evolved.
They have.
I think. Something with the femur.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the bone.
Yeah, there's something with like the femur of like a raptor and the femur of like a bird. There's like this like direct like bloodline and evolution.
Tell you what, how they walk is enough for me.
I could be completely wrong on that.
I don't care.
By the way,
this is all us. I don't care what anybody says. We are right this morning.
Sounded smart.
It did. I felt enlightened. I felt like that entire fucking bear trip. The entire trip, like Zach talking about everything. I'm like, this guy could say anything, and I would fucking believe him. Oh, he actually did this. We're walking, we're fishing. We pull over. We just go fishing in this creek. He's like, oh, dude, because the water was crazy. The runoff from the mountain, from the snow melting, so the rivers were fucking flowing. The creeks were like rivers, and the rivers were out of control. And all of a sudden, we're walking back, and there's this fucking giant earthworm on the ground, like fucking scooting across. This guy is a fucking mountain man, all right? We're walking by, and like he just scoops it up. He's like, "Oh man, big one, good eating!" Like threw it in his mouth. And
No, he did it.
Started chewing it up.
No, he did it,
bro. The look on my face.
We're both just staring, like, what are you doing?
This dude's a pretty wild fucker. Okay,
and this isn't your normal earthworm. This was
fucking thick, chunky bitch. Dude just fucking it throws it in his mouth, and he's like, and I'm like, oh bitch, like. And then he just goes, spits it out. And he's like, I was just fucking with you, bro.
I'm not jokingly putting that in my mouth either.
Bro, I'm telling you, special character we're about to get into. Okay, It was like there's story after story of this crazy fucker and all this, just the wonderfulness that occurred.
Yeah.
It is, but that one, whenever it was maybe our third day together, or fourth day together, and there was our third, and he's just, the stories he's telling, cracking us up, and then the earthworm thing, fucking like, I'll never forget the thing swirling into his mouth, like hitting the side of his face, like it wasn't like a perfectly placed. No, it was fucking
God, dude.
Bro, you are a wild fucker. I love it. Oh man, but yeah, the to start this off, like I wanted to go experience the West. That was what we've been talking about on the podcast. Everybody that listens to the podcast and is listening knows that. That was like what I wanted. I wanted to go out west and experience like the scenery, nature, and I wanted to kill a big game animal and skin it, harvest it, quarter it up, pack it off a mountain, like pack it out and like feel that energy. Because out there it's big game. You're not dealing with 100-pound deer. You're not dealing with small animals. You're dealing with big game, let alone a bear, a black bear that's a predator out there. And there's a whole educational portion that we're going to get into about predator hunting and everything, because this dude has killed thousands of animals out there, like his entire life. He grew up hunting. Like from the time he came out of the womb, he was hunting, and it shows. And that's one of the reasons that we wanted to go, and that's why Jay's editing the videos that we have, so that people understand, like, there is a portion, like the conservation and the management of the wilderness is important. And the ASPCA, I'm not sure if they manage anything. I think they just take your money. I don't think they're out there doing anything like for the wilderness.
Like most organizations, yeah.
I think, like they're just taking your money and saying, we are helping.
Yep.
So how are you helping? Well, our CEO makes $3 million a year. Oh, no shit, bitch. Huh? Meanwhile, hunters are out there actually doing, that dude knew more about the wilderness. He knew as much about the wilderness, animals, vegetation, the mountains, how it all works as I did about bodybuilding. Like, I mean, he is in the less than 1% of people that understand how the mountains of Idaho work and everything that he does out there. Yeah. Very, very unique. You wouldn't think it to see him. Highly intelligent person, especially about the wilderness. So there's an education portion that we'll get into as well. But I wanted that feeling of it all, and I felt it. It was incredible. I wanted to go do this so that people would understand that I think that they should also go experience those things in their life. Not so much like that you have to go hunting. Like, it was a bucket list item for me. I thought about it. I dreamt about it. I think that people in life should have things that they dream about, that they constantly look up on their phone, that they're like, man, look at that lake, or look at these fish, or go in ocean, deep sea fishing, or swimming with sharks, or whatever the fuck it is, going golfing on Pebble Beach. Whatever is on your bucket list, I believe that you should go do it. And you should do it when you're young. You should go and do it while you can do it at a high level. Because if you wait until you're old, one of the reasons that I did this was because so many bodybuilders were dying. They're dying in their late 30s, 40s, early 50s. I'm like, well, motherfucker, I'm in my later 30s now. If I wait too long, if I always make an excuse, I won't be able to go experience this whenever I'm like virile and I'm fucking able to go up a goddamn mountain and fucking pack out 150 pounds on my back, go back and forth, in and out, trying to do these things. I wouldn't be able to. So the experience, like, people could say they fucking hate hunting. They think I'm an asshole. They don't like the fact that I went and hunted a bear, whatever they want. I don't care. But what I do care about is them fulfilling something on their bucket list. That is the big giant takeaway I want people to understand. And I got to do it with someone who educated us. I mean, it was like we were watching National Geographic every single day, all fucking day, from 4 a.m. until 12 a.m. We're watching National Geographic. We were in it. It was wild.
His knowledge base is far superior than anything that I could ever imagine.
Yes. The guy we're talking about, his name is Zach Owens. I always forget his Instagram handle. It's like Backwoods Backcountry or
Backcountry.
Yeah. God damn it, I feel like an asshole right now. I don't know. Here, we'll pull it up real quick. Beyond the Backcountry His name's Zach Owens. He's a large individual. He's a big fucker. He moves like an elk up a fucking mountain. It was wild. He's like 6'4" and just straight mountain man. Big old boy, strong as a fucking ox too. But he and I have been friends on Instagram for probably about 4 years. Been friends for about 4 years. I started following him just because I thought what he did was awesome. I think him hunting and educating people on the internet and he's a no bullshit guy.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that will tell you go fuck yourself, and I like that. That's probably why we got along. But this past year, like I've told everybody, I wanted to. We worked ourselves into the ground in 2021, and I was like, come New Year's, and I'm not a New Year's resolution guy, but I was like, I have a New Year's resolution. Hannah, everybody was like, really, you got one? That's nice, cute. And I was like, I want to go big game hunting, and so I was like, I reached out to him and I said, I want to go elk hunting, and he's like, you're late. We do not have you don't have time to get an elk tag, and he's like, but I can take you spring bear hunting. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I was like, I'm into hunting. I'll go hunting spring bear.
Start big.
Start big. Start with a predator. Yeah. Start with something really intense. And meanwhile, I'm watching a bunch of hunting channels. I'm watching Steve Ranella. I'll never forget. There's one episode of him cooking in his kitchen with a big time chef, and he's using bear tallow as part of the recipe to get started in the pan. And I'm like, you're using the fat from the bear. He had like 5 jars of mason jars full of fat from different animals. And he's there opening them. He's like, that's pork. That's pork. He's like, this is bacon. I think this is my bear. I'm like, this dude is smelling the fucking tallow that's sitting on his counter to cook with from all these different animals that he harvested himself. I don't know about anybody else. I think that's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
He didn't buy it at a store. He went out into the fucking wilderness, killed an animal, and harvested everything he could from it. I'm like, give me the shit, dude. Mm-hmm. I want to do that. So whenever Zach brought up a bear, I'm like, this is going to be really intense. And he's like, now, Seth, whenever you go bear hunting, he's like, you're going to get a lot of hate. And you're going to get a lot of hate because it's a bear. And I'm like, bears are predators. They need to be managed, right? And he's like, well, yeah, but not everybody knows that. They think they're cute, cuddly, wonderful animals. Yeah. So, and I'm like, that's fine. I was like, I'm going to eat the fucking bear. I was like, I'm not going to hunt anything I won't eat. Mm-hmm. Anything that I kill, I will eat, and I will take as much as possible from it, including this fucking wild strips of fat that we cut off of this bitch. It was wild. It's jiggly. Slicing it open and taking it. You're like, this is a slab of fat.
Bro, it was like the size of a brisket.
Bro,
like a full brisket.
2 hands.
Yeah.
2 hands, and it's just a thick layer of fat. It was cool. So, and he's like, you're going to get a lot of hate. And he's like, but everybody needs to understand. He's like, managing predators in the wild is very important because I learned more about bears, wolves, mountain lions than I did from watching Planet Earth and all that stuff. And the big thing with bears is they have incredible sense of smell. Incredible. They will pick up a fucking scent that no other animal in the wild can. And in the mountains, the reason that they need to be managed is because they will decimate a population of elk, deer, antelope, especially young deer, young, freshly born animals, because the first line of defense mechanism that a deer has is the fact that they don't have any smell. They don't walk very well or run because they're fresh born, but then they bed down near water. Well, you can't smell them. Mm-hmm. You can't smell them because that's their first defense mechanism. Mountain lions don't, wolves don't, bears do. They have such an incredible sense of smell that they can pick that up and go eat the motherfuckers. So if you have a bunch of young deer that can't run very well, bears will come and eat them.
Yeah.
So you need to manage that because with all the predators in the wild, that means that your elk population will go down, your deer population will go down, your antelope, everything will go down. And out west, they make a lot of money from hunting. Mm-hmm. Tourists want to come in and hunt the elk, hunt the deer, mule deer, whitetail. So, and if these things aren't managed, their population will increase in numbers when the population of animals that people are coming in to hunt will decrease. And we want to harvest animals. We want to eat elk. We want to eat deer. We want to eat antelope. We want to do these things. If they're going down and the population of predators is going up, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So that's why you hunt predators. You want to manage it. In the state, the fucking government wouldn't give you a tag if it was illegal.
Right.
The wolf tag is $30. it costs you $30 to kill a wolf. They are encouraging people to kill wolves.
And you can have as many as you want.
There is no limit. If you wanted to buy 100 wolf tags, they'd be like, please go ahead. Hardest animal on the planet to kill. And that's what we learned from Zach, because he gets calls. He's very good at hunting wolves. He gets calls from farmers. I just had a pack of wolves come in and kill 23 of my sheep.
Oh shit!
Massacre. Horse farm. He was telling us how somebody that had a horse farm, one of their horses got fucking hamstringed by a pack of wolves. Blood all over the fucking the corral or wherever they kept it, and there's fucking blood everywhere. He's like, dude, it was a wild sight. They fucking killed the horse. They cut it up, pull it out of there. Like they hire him to come in and fucking
Hunt these wolves.
Because they're majestic creatures and they're beautiful. However, they will fuck a population up.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. So that was like the quick educational portion of this bear hunt, so that everybody understood that's listening. And I'm very superficial understanding. It was just incredible to be around somebody as well educated as him. Mm-hmm. But so the hunt itself, we go in there, Jay and I on the way in, I was like a mess. I was the whole time, like I just clammed up from once we landed in Idaho. I'm like, man, this is actually happening. Mm-hmm. The scenery was blowing my mind. I never met Zach in person. Yeah. And we actually have a mutual friend, Ryan, who he's from Utah. He came up for the hunt too. He's like, I'm coming up for the weekend. We left on Thursday. We got there we left on Thursday, got there Thursday night. They picked us up on Friday morning. And we flew into Boise, and then we drove for like 3.5 hours or some shit to central Idaho, where I have no fucking clue where we were. Mm-hmm. Like just driving through the mountains, and it's through the mountains.
Yeah.
Curves around mountains, and it's just melting Jay and I's mind. I'm taking pictures nonstop. And meanwhile, it's just like a hill.
And these guys are like, what do you... Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you see this all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're like, we kind of take this for granted too, I guess. And it's until somebody that doesn't get to see this every day comes out and you get to see their reaction.
And it was mesmerizing to us because we've never seen anything like it. And he started realizing, like, we're all cool and shooting the shit. Mm-hmm. And he's just like realizing that the excitement that we had for everything.
Yeah.
And so we're driving up. We were gonna camp out. We had a base camp, got there. We had a sheep herder's tent. And then he termed it glamping. He's like, we're glamping this first trip. He's like, we'll never fucking do this again. I'm just breaking you in easy. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, he's like, listen, he's like, I want you to come back.
Yeah.
He's like, you've seemed excited the whole time. If we just backpacked and had small camp, he's like, be a little brutal on you. He's like, I want you to come back. He's like, break it in easy. So this was kind of like just the tip, is what we termed it.
Yeah.
Sheep herder's tent, like Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
I learned I'd never watched Brokeback Mountain.
Super cozy.
Really close.
Yeah.
But so we got there, we set up camp, and we had our shirts off. Like Brokeback. God damn it. What am I doing? I'm like I'm going right into this the wrong
just
way.
4 dudes build a tent, no shirts.
Bro, it was hot. Like, dude, I got sunburnt in 2 hours. So, and like, but it's hot out. Yeah. It's like 75, 80 fucking degrees. We're on a mountain. Mm-hmm. We're what, 8,000, 9,000 feet up?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And like, he's like, you're closer to the sun, you're going to burn. Sure enough, I looked down, I'm like, yep, I'm fucking red. I was like, I am burning. But so we set up the tent, and it's awesome. And he's like, hey, we're gonna go hike into our spot. He's like, we're gonna go grab the trail cam, because there was 3 ways that we were gonna hunt the bears. Okay, number 1 was a bait, which you build a bait and the bears come in and eat at the bait, and then you kill it there. Or we're gonna spot and stalk, which is you just hike fucking mountains where the bears usually hang out, and the only way to know is through him again. Like, he just knows where they are.
Yeah.
And then the third was with hounds. So he was like, we're going to check the bait, and he's like, we'll see where we're at. And if there's bears on the bait from the trail cams, he's like, depending on the size and what they are, he's like, we'll stay and hang out at the bait, or we'll go spotting and stalking at these numerous different places he's mentioned. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and if we're not successful there, I'm going to call my buddy who has the hounds, who actually are massive fans of ours. He's like, and we're going to go hound hunting. And everything I learned about hound hunting is a whole nother fucking world, and it is wild.
Yeah.
Crazy hunting with animals. You're using animals to hunt other animals. Yeah. Very cool. I'd like to do it. We went to the trail cam to check the to check that. And with a bait for whenever I didn't understand like baiting a bear. Apparently it is also, everyone does it out there. Like any hunters out there, he was like, bear baits here. There's my friend bear baits there. They do bear baits there. They do this, they do that. They're like, everyone has a baiting spot. And it's a very respected thing in the area of like, you don't fuck with another man's bait.
Yeah.
Like, because your whole goal is the reason you bait a bear and get it set up is the reason Zach does it the way he does, and he has a very specific way that he does it, unlike many other people that I'm not going to explain, but I'll talk about. Mm-hmm. You bait a bear because you will be able to, he wants to outsmart and bring in old, big bear.
Sure, that makes sense.
He does not want, because he's like, I don't want young bear. He's like, I want the older bears that have been roaming the mountains and the forests for over a decade. Mm-hmm. He's like, those are the smartest bears in the wilderness. And he's like, those are the bears I want. He's like, because if you can outsmart a big old bear, you're pretty fucking good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So he took pride in that. And he's like, and I was like, well, baiting a bear seems a little odd. I'm like, you don't bait bear here in Pennsylvania. He's like, I know. He's like, we need to control the population and we need to take out the old big boars. He's like, you need to get the old big boars out so that the population is fresh. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, cool. So if you have a bait where you have a bunch of little bear on it, it's not an incredible feat. Yeah. But if you're able to outsmart and bring in a big, old male bear, fuck yeah. Very, very difficult to do.
And part of this, which you can explain more, one of the reasons to get rid of these big older bears is because they actually kill baby bears.
Oh, shit.
Oh, good call. Yeah. So what he explained was later in June, as June progresses, it gets into mating season. Well, the females come in with their cubs, and you cannot shoot a wet sow. So if a wet sow comes in, a female bear comes in with cubs and they're feeding, you can't kill that bear.
Got it.
They'll take everything away from you.
Yeah.
So that's why in later June, the males get into their mating season. Well, if they see a sow with cubs, those older big bear will fucking kill those cubs just to mate with her. Like, fuck your kids, even if they're his own kids.
Yeah.
We're like, fuck them. I just want to fuck you, because she will not if she has cubs. So the whole thing is he goes in, massacres those young bear, and has sex with her to carry on his seed. It's still nature. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a thing. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, it's wild out here. So that's his whole thing about the older big bears. So we go in, and to get there was pretty wild. We crossed a fucking creek on a log that if you fell in the water, he's like, don't fall in. And I'm like, thanks. Meanwhile, we look, dude, he's like, if you get caught on this side, he's like, under this log, he's like, and we can't get you out, he's like, you're probably going to drown. And it was moving. He's like, the creek's not normally like this. I'm like, this is a fucking creek. It looks like a fucking river.
Yeah.
It's fucking moving. Like, so he's like, don't fall. Meanwhile, it's raining. It's raining out. It's slippery as fuck. Mm-hmm. And it looks like a movie scene, like a fucking big log that people cross that like you're in the movie.
Revenant.
Yeah, Revenant or Edge. The Edge or, yeah, I think that's what it was called with Anthony Hopkins. But I'm like, man, I was like, this is a fucking way to like start the first fucking day. We just set up camp and we're going in to get the camp. So we go in and bears pick up on scent. And the thing with the older bears is that if you go in, the older bears will be able to smell you, and the wind coming down the mountain or going up the mountain. He referred to them as thermals. He's like, if the thermals, he's like, they'll change depending on the time of day. And he's like, you never want your scent going out there. So I'm like, man, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Because if a big older bear smells a human, they're fucking out, dude. They've been around for 15 years. Yeah. They're not coming in. Why would they? They'll come in only whenever it's fucking pitch black out. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is fucking nuts. I'm like, this is like, he was super particular about where we walked, how we went in, everything, noise levels.
I was going to say, like, are you talking at this point or like?
No, we're whispering. The second that you get out of the truck, you don't slam the door.
Oh, shit.
And then we had it was a hike in.
Yeah.
Like a hike.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like an hour hike with 90 pounds on my back. It was a fucking hike, and you're stepping over everything. but
Yeah.
you're whispering the fucking second.
Yeah.
Because then we drove to the location. Then he's like, all right, we're going in. And I'm like, okay, we're going in. It was intense.
Dude.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, all right. So, and it was all whispering. It was like, that's like in the video, we're going to have to do, caption.
Some captions, yeah.
But anyway, so I'm like, okay, so we go in and there's 4 of us. So like, we stuck together all of it, but that fucker moves like a fucking giant elk, big legs, just stepping. And I'm like, dude, he's 25 steps in front of me. And I'm like, I could pick the fuck up here.
Yeah.
So as we got in closer and closer, we stayed back because of our scent, and he went in and got the cam.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, we got the cam, and he explained to us like how the wind comes in and what time of days the bears usually come in. He's educating us on all it. We go back to camp, and then we end up looking at the trail cams, and sure enough, motherfucker, there is a massive bear on the cam. A very large bear. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is real. And I'm like, all right. So he's like, yep. He's like, we're going to go back tonight. He's like, and we're going to sit. He's like, and we're doing archery. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and we're going to sit about 23 yards away from the bait. And the bear should come in. We sat there. So like, I'm like, okay, like it all is happening so quick.
Yeah.
Because this is our first day. We literally drove for hours, set up camp, went and checked the cam, came back, and then we're going back in at I think it was 8:30. So we go back in and we sat for
8:30 p.m.
p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, because what happens is the thermals are coming down the mountain at you.
And you can see, like, is it? Yeah.
It's kind of
Can
like,
see. Well,
Like, isn't it? Like,
it might not have been 8:30. It might have been a little bit earlier than that. But like he was saying, there's still light out, but it's kind of like past, like the sun's over the mountain. You're not getting
sun's
Yeah.
over
Like
the
direct
mountain, so the
sunlight.
wind comes down the mountain towards you.
Mhm.
Okay, whereas whenever the sun is out, the heat goes up the mountain.
Gotcha.
So if it'll carry your scent and everything up the mountain, and bears have incredible sense of smell.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, we go back in, and once the sun went down, like we sat there, and the whole goal was archery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's archery. We're sitting there. It's we are sitting in these in little fold out chairs,
Mm-hmm.
hidden, and you're sitting there waiting for this bear to come, and I'm like speechless at this moment because everything is happening so fast.
Yeah.
And he's like, when it comes, we went over shot placement for like an hour, like explaining like where to shoot the bear, how to shoot it if it quarters away, if it quarters towards you, if it so a bear, whenever you want to shoot it, you want it to be center of center. Like if that's the bear, you want it to be dead center from side to side and top to bottom. That's where its vitals are, heart and both lungs.
Yep.
But on a deer, it's usually right behind the front shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Not with a bear, dead center of center. And if it quarters away from you, like if it's here and it quarters away, like its head is turned away from you, it quarters away, you need to place your shot a little bit further behind it, because if you shoot center of center, you're going to miss the vitals. You know what I mean? If it's right here and you shoot here, vitals will end up being there.
Yep.
You'll miss the vitals that are back here. So you have to shoot a little bit further back, like maybe 3 to 5 inches behind it, probably 3, and then
It'll be
that.
like on an angle.
It'll be on an angle because it quartered away from you. And if it quarters towards you, you don't got a clean shot.
Yeah.
Especially with the bow and
Okay.
arrow, because if you don't get a clean shot on it, you're not busting bone on a bear.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty tough. Depending on the poundage of your bow and all that, he's like, it's better to just wait it out and get a fucking great shot. Because whenever you're on a bait, that is also the thing where you're able to get a clean shot. You want to kill the bear you don't want it to suffer as little as possible.
Yeah.
That is your goal. So I'm sitting there. My heart, as we're walking in, is pounding. And I'm like, there's a bear that is coming to this bait, and it is fucking huge. And he's like, this is an old bear. He's like, this is a fucking big bear. And I'm like, this is a big bear. This is pretty, you couldn't have asked for a better scenario, okay? And we sit there for probably about an hour and 10 minutes. Is that what you say?
I thought it was more than that. I'd say an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Didn't seem that long to me.
Yeah.
My heart didn't stop pounding. My heart rate, I wish I would have checked it.
Yeah.
It was probably around $180
Yeah. I
for
believe
sure.
that.
Just sitting there, not seeing a fucking bear. Because we're sitting there, and I'm like, this is wild. Okay. Like, and I'm shooting from a seated position, which I didn't know I was going to be shooting from a seated position. I wish I would have known that.
I would have been practicing that quite a
Probably
bit.
would have been practicing a little bit more. But we're sitting there, and I'm like, this is, you know, it was super overwhelming because also you can smell this bait. And the bait fucking stinks. Okay, does not smell pretty, but that's what the bears want. Also, it's more. We'll get into that. But anyway, so we're there, and I'm like, okay. He's like, hey. He's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. He's like, I don't want to sit here any longer than we have to. He's like, if he didn't come in now, we need to get out of here so our scent doesn't stay here.
Sure.
We need our scent to get the fuck out of here. So we up, left, went back, and he went back. We go back to camp, and by this time it's like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and we're back at camp, and he's looking through all the photos on the trail cam, and he's like, we're going back in the morning. I'm like, I'm fucking game. There's a storm that's coming through as well. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm really worried about the wind. He's like, because if the storm comes in, the winds are swirling and start sending up that fucking mountain, this motherfucker's not coming back. Because he's like, this is a world-class bear. He's like, it's a big boy. He is not fucking stupid. He's like, I do not want to lose this bear. So
and another thing is that he was saying with rain coming and stuff like that, these animals know, so they want to come eat. They want to come get a good meal in
before
the
the rain.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
I mean, it is very, like, whenever we realize we are animals, we start realizing we do have certain tendencies like them.
Yeah.
So, and meanwhile, like, by now, it's like, it's 12:15, 12:30, and he's fucking amped. And I am like, I'm starting to get a little fucking like, whew, he's talking about this. I'm like, that's 3.5 hours away of waking up. He wants to wake up at 4 a.m. and get ready. And I'm like, it's 12:30, motherfucker. I'm like, this dude is fucking on it. I'm like, okay, like, I'm amped up, but I'm like, I need to go to sleep because I want to make sure that I'm prepared and like mentally prepared to take this animal out. So sure enough, he goes to bed at like 1 o'clock. And I'm like, hey, I'm laying down. It's 12:45. So lay down. It's fucking cold too. We're on a mountain. It was 80 fucking degrees and I got sunburned.
Yeah.
It's now like 28.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, it was cold. And I'm like, I'm layers of clothes.
Yeah.
So we go to sleep and sure enough, fucking alarm goes off at fucking 4 a.m. We start getting up and he's like, you guys want coffee? I'm like, I am not drinking coffee this morning. And he's like, you're a coffee guy. And I'm like, I will shit my pants out there, bud. I do not want to drink any coffee right now. So we get up, get ready, and he's like, hey, storm's coming in. He's like, we're going to go in. He's like, we're going to go in, but if the winds are swirling, we're going to hang back. He's like, we're going to hang back about 100 yards. And he's like, if we think it's coming in, we'll set up for rifle. He's like, and we'll take it out.
Yeah.
He's like, because I have a feeling that fucker's going to be there because the storm's coming. He's coming to eat. He's like, I don't want to get too close. And he's like, I want to make sure that we don't fuck this up for you because if that bear picks up our scent because of the storm, he won't be there after the storm is over either.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want that. And I'm like, okay, like, he just point after point. So I'm like, okay. So we're all ready. We hike in and we get there. Again, at this point, my heart's pounding because I'm like, I have just this eerily feeling in my stomach that this fucker's going to be there and it's going to be intense. So we get in and we get into 100 yards away and he's like, let's set up. He's like, let's just set up here and we'll see because the winds, you could feel the winds shifting back and forth. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. My heart starts like beating because we're setting up. And I'm like, I still have my release from my bow on my wrist at this point. I'm like, okay, I take it off. I think I took it off. I don't remember. And we're there, and Ryan is up in front about 5 yards from us, and he's looking at the bait. It's binoculars. They call it glassing. So he's glassing the fucking bait. I'm like, all right. I was like, clean shot. We hiked in. The rifle's on a rest because there was 4 of us, so we're able to pack in pretty much whatever we wanted. Yeah. So it's just sitting there, and I'm like, man, I was like, this is going to be nuts. And like, we're setting up, and I'm like kind of going through mental process of making sure bear's going to come, shot placement. Make sure you kill the animal. Do not fucking miss. Everything's good. Within like 2-3 minutes of being there, setting up, like kind of gathering your thoughts. Ryan turns around and looks at us and goes, he's here.
Big eyes.
Huge eyes. And he's like, he's here. And I'm like, oh my God.
Everything he just explained happened in 2 minutes. Setting up, him feeling like this, like hasn't even physically touched a gun.
Nothing was set up. We were setting up. We're 100 yards away.
I just set the tripod up.
And Zach, he just set the tripod
is
up.
your adrenaline just as high at this point?
Not as high as his, but it was high.
But yeah.
Zach, it's like we're doing all of these things, and he's like, hey, he's like, we'll set up. And he's like, if we need to, well, depending on these winds, he's like, we might be out of here in 15 fucking minutes. He's like, if this dude doesn't show up and all these and all the winds are going, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He's like, but if they settle down, he's like, we're going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I'd like to go in, get super close and fucking that. But then all of a sudden, Ryan turned around. He's like, he's here, like huge eyes. And I'm like, oh my God. And he just had this look on his face. I'm like, that fucking big giant bear who Zach didn't shut the fuck up about all night, how big this bear was. He's like, this is nuts.
I got goosebumps right now.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, this is it. My heart's pounding. Okay. Like fucking beating through my chest. And I'm like, calm the fuck down. And Zach's like, get in on the scope. So I look in there, and this fucking bear's head is massive. That's all I could see because it was coming around from the tree. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all of a sudden, my heartbeat crept up into my throat, and my throat is beating. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on right now? I'm like, what's going on right now? I'm like, it was almost to the point where I couldn't swallow because my heart was beating so hard. Not fast, like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, do not fuck this up. Mm-hmm. Do not miss. Do not fuck this up. And so we have everything set up. And we had earplugs because there's the rifle was relatively loud. And I'm like, so I have it in one side and I don't have the earplug in the other. And Zach was very adamant about making sure I had the plugs in. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. It's outside of my ear. I want to listen to him because he's watching right over my shoulder.
Yeah.
And he leans in and he's like, take the shot when you're ready, and puts it in my ear. And I'm like,
no. You took it back out.
I don't remember if I did, but I was like, I want that thing out so I can listen to you.
Yeah.
And so it's in, and then he's like, the bear in the video is kind of behind like a tree, like some brush tree. Mm-hmm. And like Jay's probably like 6 inches to my left, and I'm there. And the bear was there, and I'm like, man, there it is. And the winds are swirling. Mm-hmm. And he leaned in. And this is all so fast. And he's like, take the shot, take it down, take the kill when you're ready. And you see it. So it steps forward. And I'm like, the bear is quartered away from me. I see the shot. I am dead nuts on this motherfucker. And I was like, there it is. And then and again, my heart's still beating in my fucking throat. Yeah. The breathing, didn't help.
Yeah.
No, nothing helped. And I'm like, there it is. And I was like, pulled the trigger and shot, loud noise. Bear just fucking takes off running. Did not react to the shot whatsoever. Just took off running. And I'm like, like all of a sudden, like this huge fucking just drop of everything. And I'm like I kind of felt like I just didn't. Everything went blank for a moment.
Yeah.
And it took off. And I was like, there it was. Perfect shot placement, everything. Bear took off. I'm like, I'm about to hear the death moan. I'm about to hear all this stuff. And I look back at Zach and he's like, the bear didn't react. I'm like,
fuck.
I'm like, oh no. And he's like, the bear didn't react. And I'm like, wait, didn't react? And he's like, it didn't react. I've never seen a bear not react. He's like, it just took off. And he's looking at me
like it would go after,
so whenever you shoot a bear, typically it'll like back, like it'll like it's biting it, like to stop it, like if it gets shot by an arrow, shot by a bullet, whatever it is. Yeah. It's like it reacts to that shot.
Yeah.
Like, and then runs off. Did not react. Just took off running. And I'm like, fuck me. And he's like, how'd you feel about the shot? And I'm like, I thought it was good. I don't. Like it was fucking right on the bitch.
Yeah.
And he's like, it didn't react. And I'm like, fuck me, dude. It was like, and I didn't want to say this because I just met the man.
Yeah.
We've known each other for less than 24 hours because it's still first thing in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your rifle was off then. I didn't say that, but I'm like, if I fucking missed that thing, it's like, there's no way. I was like, there's no way I missed this fucking shot. I was like, I could not have pulled that far at 100 yards. It was fucking dead nuts.
And another thing you're waiting for at this moment is this death cry.
moan.
Moan.
The death moan. Apparently a bear lets out a fucking ungodly, horrible sound that would makes your bones chill.
Yeah.
We heard nothing.
Everybody's just sitting there quiet, just waiting to hear. Like, he's like, we're not going up there because if bear's still alive.
You don't go after an
Once
animal
you hear
after
that
shot.
moan, bear's dead.
Ew, that's dark.
Oh,
Just lets that out like that.
oh, people have said they went bear hunting and they've heard that cry and they will never go bear hunting again. It's that like rough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, no moan. And then Zach's like, he's like, I don't want to go in there yet. He's like, we need to wait. He's like, we'll wait it out. He's like, if you hit it, there's going to be a blood trail, and we'll wait it out. We'll be good. And then so we take probably 10, 20 yards, start walking. He's like, we're going to get out of here. He's like, we'll come back in like an hour.
He wanted to go back. He wanted to watch the video.
To see the shot.
Yeah.
Because Jay had it on camera, but he's like, I want to see the shot. And he's like, we'll come back. And then Ryan's back. He's like, it's about to storm. He's like, there's a blood trail. He's like, it's going to be gone.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, fuck me. I was like, and I'm thinking in my head, like, let's just fucking go in then. It's already been 10 minutes. I'm like, let's just go in. Let's go in. But again, if you miss and the bear picks up your scent, no coming back. And this is a world-class bear, 300-plus pound black bear that people don't shoot in their entire life. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime sight, let alone kill. So then Zach's like, he's like, I'm going to go in. He's like, I'm going to go in and see what I can find. So I'm standing there like, now my adrenaline is back up. I'm like, I can't believe. I was like, there's no fucking way I missed. I was like, but I don't know. I could have just blanked and pulled something. Yeah. And so he walks in. He goes up to where the bear was, like looking around. And he takes off back. And at this point, like he's in and out of sight because we just had a sight on one window of where the bear would be. So he goes up there and he's walking around. You see him walk up the mountain that way. He comes back and then he goes up back that way. And like you could just see him walking from one side, then back to the other. I'm like, fuck me. I was like, there has been, and I'm looking at him through the binoculars. Like I'm glassing, I'm looking at his facial expressions, like everything I could. And I see him walking back. I'm like, he's coming back. And he has a look on his face of just like absolute disgust.
Like hat off of his head, like running his hands through his hair. Like,
me. Meanwhile, I would have thought the dude would have been excited. Like,
yeah, right here.
Yeah, good job. So he's walking back like and has this. And I'm like, and Ryan, who's just a fucking phenomenal human being. Zach's walking back. I'm like, dude's pissed. I was like, I think I missed. And he didn't see any blood. He's like, Zach is a ball buster. He's fucking with you. He's like, how'd you feel about the shot? I'm like, I felt fucking very good about the shot. He's like, you killed that bear then. He's like, you have to understand. Like, you have to be confident in your shots. I was like, I am. But I was like, this is the first time I might have blanked and pulled. And he's like, no, dude, Zach's fucking with you. He's like, you definitely got a clean shot. He's like, it's down back there. I'm like, he does not look like it. Zach comes back and he's like, all right. He's like, so I go up there and he's like, there's very little blood. And I'm like, fuck me. Did I just skin the top? Did I go right over its back or anything? And he's telling the story about how he walked up and he was looking. He's like, I saw the little bit of blood, so I took off, to the left. He's like, and I didn't see any more blood. He's like, then I come back and I come back to the blood and I take a few steps to the left there. He's like, and I start looking around and holy shit, bear's right there. It's like if the thing would have been alive, it would have bit me. Like right next to him behind a log. So it was literally right next to the bait. It took maybe like 15 yards, took off running, and then just died right behind a log. Yeah. He's like, that bear was dead in 3 to 5 seconds. It didn't have time to let out a death moan. He's like, your shot could not have been any fucking better on that animal.
Instinct
He's
kill.
like, it was a perfect shot. So like then like this whole entire fucking crazy group of emotions just came over me. Like it was fucking like, holy fuck. It was this sense of relief, sense of excitement, sense of like just, it was pretty wild because now the next steps were about to occur. Like I've been dreaming and thinking and visualizing this occurring of me killing the animal and then next going up to it and then skinning, quartering out, and packing this animal off the mountain. Like those feelings that I wanted, the training with the sandbags on the back, all of the things, just all of it. That was the next step that was about to occur. And I'm like, okay, so as we get closer, as we start walking up, like I'm stupid excited. The video of what he got, apparently it's pretty cool because he showed Mike some video. And Zach played it off perfectly, apparently. So we're walking up and I'm just like I'm getting emotional about this.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I'm like, my heart's back up and I'm like, this is, just took the life of an animal. And I'm like, this is the moment whenever I'm like, I'm going to be able to harvest this animal. I'm going to be able to eat it on the mountain with my friends, get to try bear for the first time. I'm going to be able to go home and I'm going to be able to take the fat off of this animal, go home and render down this fucking huge giant slab of fat and be able to have the bear tallow, just like Ranella did on the videos and just like so many people do. I'm going to be able to experience harvesting an animal, something that I've never done like this, and pack it off of a fucking mountain, put it on my back, put 150 pounds on, and walk an hour through the fucking woods over a creek. It was flowing like a river that could take us under and fucking chew on us. I'm like, this is what I wanted to experience.
Like visualizing something like that for months and then seeing it all come into play. I mean, I put it into my perspective with what I do with my training and race day emotions and visualizing literally that kill, that finish, whatever it is. There's nothing like that feeling on the planet. Like what you were saying about fulfilling your bucket list items, visualizing one thing, having it come to fruition and seeing it happen.
It was incredible. It was, and once that occurred, like, and we're there, we get pictures, and when we're going to get pictures with it, I'm like, man, this is intense. Like, it's super fucking intense. You just killed another animal. You just took the life of another animal. Like, you're not supposed to take it lightly. You're not supposed to take this lightly, and nor did I at any point. Like, you take the life of an animal, it's like, okay, so I just snatched the life out of another living organism on this planet, and it's no longer going to enjoy anything in its life. I better, for me, thank the good Lord for this animal, appreciate its life, say a prayer, and then get ready to take everything from this and treat it with the respect that it deserves. Yep. So that whenever that was occurring, I'm like, it was super intense because, a lot of people that gave me shit online about it, I'm like, you guys don't really understand. You guys still eat meat. You guys eat 2 chicken breasts every meal, 5 meals a day. That's 5 chickens. So you eat 5 chickens a day, every day for 365 days a year. And you guys, and you don't even say grace before a meal. You know why you say grace before a meal. You know why you say a prayer before you eat. Yep. And it was those, and that's why I was like, you guys still eat steak and post your picture of your juicy steak online, talk about your delicious burgers and all this. And I'm like, that was a living organism. It was alive. It was in some of you people that buy shit meat, like I did for years, because I was broke and didn't have any money, you're buying it from a mass production farm where they grow up and live in their own shit. I get to kill an animal in the wild that has lived in the wild for 15 plus years. I get to harvest that animal, and I get to thank it for its life and treat it with respect. And I get to harvest it and make sure everything is utilized from that animal. So being able to experience that, going up and then with Zach, someone who is so well educated, someone who told me, like, he took the time to explain to me exactly how to skin the bear. And before that, the pictures, getting a picture. This dude is literally taking his clothes and wiping the bear off, wiping the blood from its face, sticking its tongue in its mouth to make sure it's not out. He's like, we need to take respectable pictures. This bear deserves this. He's like, this is a bigger bear than I've ever shot in my life. He's like, you just killed a once in a lifetime animal. Wow. He's like, you will never shoot another bear like this. He's like, this is once in a lifetime. People hunt their entire lives and never see a bear like this. And you got to kill it your first time out. And he's like, so, and the respect for the animal. no blood on its face. He's like, we need to take good pictures. He's like, this is a memory that you're going to show everyone, and you need to respect it. And I'm like, this is like, it got instantly emotional and very serious about showing respect to this animal. And then also same thing when it goes for the next was skinning it. He's like, don't fuck this hide up. He's like, this is your first time. I'm going to do the hard places. You do the easy places. We'll do it together. He's like, but don't fuck this hide up. He's like, this is a beautiful bear, whether you do a rug or a full mount with it. He's like, it needs to be presented well.
Yeah.
Instantly, like it was one thing after another of not fucking this up. Mm-hmm. So that's where it was like the amount of respect that he has for the animals also is just insane.
Yeah.
So, and we're in there and I'm like, I'm about to feel this and skin an animal and see its fucking carcass without any fur, without any skin. And then I'm going to learn on how to dismember this bear to get the most meat from it. And let me tell you, it was fucking insane. Like skinning, starting at the back paws and like, you know, like it'd be like the heel of your foot and cutting that and then small cut from the back of your heel all the way up your calf and the back of your hamstring to your asshole. And then the same on the other side, on the other leg. And the whole time I'm looking, I'm like, dude, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
This is super intense. So he's doing it and going through it and explaining how to cut, explaining the way the angle of the knife to make sure that you cut into the meat and not cut the hide and cutting through it all. And it was just like, okay. It got very real because you started seeing, he was explaining the anatomy of the bear, where to cut the tendons, how to break off its paws and cut through the tendons. Like you saw the, so to say, wrist, you saw the ankle. And then when we led up into the hip bones of it and cutting around its femur and slicing through all the tendons, like you heard it popping, you felt it popping, you were breaking things and just going through it all. Wow. And I am just, the whole time I'm like, holy fuck, this is nuts. As he skinned it, very little blood came out of the bear. I'm like, you're skinning it without it bleeding. I don't know if this is normal. I was like, you're pretty good at this. And he's like, I've done this with every animal in this mountain. I'm like, no shit. And he's like, yes. It was like it was incredible. And then and then as he's like, all right, you're getting in there. I'm like, all right, here we go. And him explaining how to make the cuts, where to make the cuts, how to make sure that, we're pulling the meat off of its hindquarters, cutting around the bone, pulling it off, and then like having it. Like I've watched hundreds of hunting videos of people harvesting animals, and I wanted to feel what a hindquarter felt like, and just holding it and understanding like I just killed it, there it is. It was amazing, the feeling that I wanted. Yeah. So we got it all. I mean, it was super, super fucking intense, especially when we got to the head and you had to cut its fucking head off.
Yeah.
That was intense. Like cutting its neck and then breaking it and slicing through the other tendons. That was really intense. Yeah. I mean, I have it on film. I'll never post it, but it was just one of those things that we wanted to capture all these things so that we understand like how intense this would be. And if people wanted to see it, like, privately, it's like, here you go. This is how intense skinning an animal is. So, bro, it was wild. It was very, very intense.
Yeah.
So after that, it's raining at this point, and we put it into all the game bags. I got my bear dick. I didn't know bears have bones in their pectorals.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Whenever he cut the legs and got to its asshole and cut its testicles off, like he cut it right through it, and then like he pulled this bone out and he handed it to me. I'm like, is that bear dick? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, bears actually have bones in their penises. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, yeah, actually quite a few mammals do. And I'm like, I had no idea.
Oh shit.
He's like, yeah. He's like, it's a great conversation starter. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I know a lot of guys that have coffee stirrers. And I'm like, I am stirring coffee with this bear's dick.
Big bear dick.
Yeah. He's like, paperweights. And I was like, people probably do straws, huh? And he's like, don't do a straw.
Yeah. He's like, actually, Seth, we don't do that.
We don't do the straws. So he's like, I'm like, I cannot wait to have this and show everybody. He's like, dude, and he knows a whole lot about Native Americans as well. So like, as we were doing the tour after this, like the dude just explaining everything about the Native Americans there and how they harvest animals and what they utilized from these animals. Dude, super fucking cool. He should have his own TV show called Idaho.
Yeah.
He should.
Great name.
It should be that because, dude, he knows everything about everything out there. So, but packing out the animal, putting it in the game bags, and then putting it into my pack, my Stone Glacier pack. They have great packs, by the way. Yeah. I'm never washing it. I'll buy a brand new one. I'm going to put this one in a case. It smells like bear.
Yeah. Nice.
Bear has a very distinct smell, by the way.
Before you talk about coming out, one thing that you missed that I think you'd really like to talk about, the smell.
Yes. A bear smells, it is a very distinct smell. Whenever we walked up, I was like, oh my God. Like, what is that? I was like, that's bear. And he's like, that's what bear smells like. And as we cut it open and pulled things from it, I'm like, it is a distinct game smell.
Is it a bad smell? Or...
It's a bear smell.
Okay.
It's an acquired smell.
Yeah.
It got me very excited.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like, it was, you're covered in it. You know, your clothes will be covered in it. Your pack will smell like it, everything, because I'm in there, you know?
Yeah.
But the smell of it is unlike anything I have ever smelled before in my entire life.
It's one of those things where, like, if I'm walking through the mall and there's a dude wearing a camo jacket that's skinned a bear or something,
you'll smell it on.
I'll smell
know
it. Bear.
I will be able to be like, so you skinned and butchered a bear in that jacket, huh? He'd be like, yeah. I can. There is nothing on the planet smelled like that. Not one thing. And I was like, this is what I love. And he's like, all animals have their own smell, Seth. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yes. I'm like, I think I want to experience all of them. He's like, then we will. Because it was the smell. I got home from the trip. We went to Nutrition Corners over the weekend because we did the bear trip. Came home. I was home for less than 16 hours, hopped in a car and drove to Virginia.
Yeah.
I came back and I'm like, I didn't take anything out of my suitcases. I took nothing out of anything. And I'm like, and I drove for 7.5 hours. So I'm fucking smoked. Smoked from driving 7.5 hours home. And I'm like, this was one hell of a weekend. It's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on Sunday. And I was like, I miss the mountains. It's like, I miss the mountains. It was such a wonderful, exhilarating feeling of it all.
Yeah.
I go into the garage where I had my pack.
Yeah.
I went in and smelled my pack. I was like, still smells like bear. I love it. I don't think I'm ever washing it. Like, I'm going to make sure it stays smelling like bear.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. It is, I mean, I smelled it this morning pulling clothes out of it because I still didn't pull the clothes out of it.
Yeah.
I pulled them out so I could wash them. And this morning I pull them out and I'm like, I love this smell. I absolutely love it. So
It's a memory, dude.
it truly is. It is something that will stick with me forever.
Yeah.
So we packed up the packs. It was over 100 pounds of meat on my back in the Stone Glacier pack. And I looked online and saw people carrying the thing out and all that. And we packed out. It was crossing everything. It was intense.
What like on the way out? Like what was like did you guys talk then? Like
I was not speaking.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like was it kind of
everybody
surreal and you're just taking
Zach was
it?
very amazed that I didn't have anything to say for a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say anything.
Yeah.
I had no clue how to say anything. I was just living in the moment. Like and there was moments when I took my phone. I'm like, I have to document this because I'm like, I do not want to ever lose these shots. Even though Jay's taking everything under the sun at this moment, I'm like, I want this. And it was, I was just soaking it in, learning how to do it, making sure that like I was paying attention, not getting lost in anything, just completely consumed in that moment.
Yeah.
And then packing out. Like my hips were on fire. The weight wasn't an issue because that pack is designed for it to be like easier and it all sits on your hips. But dude, high stepping over everything with over 100 pounds on your back, I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, this is intense. By the end of it, like I was just like, okay, stop thinking about your hips, dude. Just stop and keep going. So, and then once we got out and, I was just, again, like, I don't even really remember what I said. I have the video of myself, how excited I was, like just being able to pack out an animal, but it was everything I wanted it to be. And then after that, so we get everything out, back to camp. hiked all this shit back. Fucking the hide of this bear was so incredibly heavy. The head was massive. Zach's like, whenever we get this head measured, he's like, this is going to be, if the head's over 19 inches, he's like, shot a bigger bear than I've ever shot in my life. He's like, if this thing's over 20 inches, he's like, there's a chance you might be known for killing a bear in Idaho.
Wow.
I'm like, really? And he's like, dude, he's like, you shot the biggest fucking bear. He's like, I've never killed a bear this big. So I'm, super excited. We get back to camp, unload the meat, make sure it stays cool, because we're on a fucking mountain. There's still snow there. It's June.
Yeah. Still
Snow on a mountain. It's cold. So put all the meat in there. We lay out the hide, and then he's like, hey, my father-in-law's up. He's packing bait into his spot. So the bait, there's like 25 bags of bread. 25 bags of bread and all the other shit, that 50 pounds of this, 50 pounds of that, 100 pounds of this, that need to go also to his spot. So we get done all this in the morning, and then immediately after that, we drop everything at camp, hop in and go to this guy's fucking spot. This guy's spot is also in the woods, up a mountain, over deadfall, which is trees just fucking laid sideways. Because in these forest fires occur, all the trees just go down. Well, they don't fucking get rid of them. There's literally millions of trees laid down on their sides. So then I'm like, we get to go fucking full tilt and go and actually build a bait with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, if not over 1,000 pounds of shit has to get through the woods, which is quite the fucking hike up a mountain with all the deadfall. So immediately after, we got to go experience building a bait, and building a bait is not easy. It's easy with 5 fucking people doing it, but it was still trips in and out over fucking deadfalls, and it's raining. It's shitty. The whole time I think I was smiling. I didn't stop smiling the entire time. Yeah. So Jay, we put the camera down. We actually just got to experience helping someone else build a bait so that they could bring in another bear. It was incredible. It was incredible.
It was kind of getting the full experience. So yes, he went in there and he shot the bear on a bait and everything like that, but he actually got the experience of going in and physically setting up a bait.
Yeah.
Yes. And after we were done, everybody's fucking covered in shit. It's raining out. You're all fucked up. There's no showers around. You're shitting in the woods. All this stuff. And I'm like, I said, after we're coming back, I looked at Zach. I'm like, hey, I was like, I do not care if I ever kill another bear in my life. I was like, I will, however, come back every single year and set your bait up with you. I will leave for 3 days. I'll leave work 3 days, leave the family 3 days, and I will come help you set up your bait every single year from here on out. It will be a part of my vacation because I loved the experience so much. And in that moment, I was like, I don't care if I ever kill another bear. I do want people to experience what I just felt and how hard. Like, I love training. You love training super hard.
Yep.
I love carrying the sandbag on my back. I love doing an hour and a half of cardio. I was doing an hour and a half of cardio every fucking day to make sure I was in shape to be able to hike shit into a fucking mountain and hike the fuck out of a mountain. Every fucking day I was doing an hour and a half of cardio. Sandbag workouts up my fucking driveway. 100 pounds up, 100 pounds down. 100 pounds up, 100 pounds down. Just back and forth. Walking backwards up my driveway with 100 pounds on my back. Like, I wanted to make sure I was physically capable of doing anything out there. I quickly realized that fucking mountain is ruthless. It does not give a fuck how much you trained.
Yeah.
It does not fucking care that you're Seth Feroce with a good YouTube channel and people love you and you own a company. No, mountain does not give a fuck. But in that moment, I'm like, I will be back every year just for this difficult experience. It was the coolest fucking thing I've ever done. So I know every single year, whenever it's time to pack the bait in for him, I will fly out to Idaho just to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people like him to take people hunting, like family and everything, but to be able to help them also fulfill experiences and harvest an animal, I will be out to do it.
Yeah.
I will be back in Idaho at least once a year. But Idaho sucks. It's ugly. It's horrible scenery. Everybody said to say that. Everybody from Idaho said, say it sucks. It's
So
horrible.
no one comes in.
Yeah. There's no summer. It's always cold there. Fuck you. It's horrible. But yeah, after we did all that, it It was just an overwhelming sense of every single emotion that I dreamt of. Every single one. Being able to help pack bait in for someone else, being able to have all the smells, all the scenery, all the experience and learning. Like I said, it was like we were living in National Geographic, like living in planet Earth. Like in the fucking middle of a mountain with fucking trees, the sounds, creeks that are running like rivers, like all the runoff, like this. You were in complete silence, but it was so loud at the same time.
Yeah.
When you got around running water, you're like, oh my God, like look at the fucking, this is nuts. It was insane. I now know why people get in RVs and travel all over there.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't into hunting, if you're just one of the people that love to go hiking up mountains, yep, go do it. It was, I completely understand all of it. I'm going back. I want to go hunting for pretty much every animal out there. I want to experience it all. I want it all. I'm in. 100%. 100%.
Fucking nuts.
Listen, this guy, okay, so now the hunt was beautiful. We've known him for 24 hours at this point, maybe 36. He's a fucking ball buster. We did not stop being educated or laughing the entire time. He is a fucking cut up, and he loves fucking with people, and he loves just, I don't even know how to explain him. He's like a movie character. He is literally a character from a movie or from a show.
Yeah.
And when we're in the truck, so after this, we're now going to go fishing, and he's going to take us sightseeing. We drove in this truck with this man.
Well, hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, Phil and Jay, you're from a different perspective.
Well, just from that night, like after everything, like at that point, Ryan was getting ready to leave, and then it's just raining, and it's just the three of us.
The rain came and it didn't stop for like a day.
So
it just rained. So we're stuck in a sheepherder's tent together.
No service.
No service. Zero service. We had no service on your cell phone. Like you couldn't call in, call out. You got nothing.
Yeah.
The first day I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I look at my phone so much. This is nuts. And like after the night in the tent together and a day in the tent together and then driving around and him showing us scenery, I'm like, fuck my phone, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it. We had, go ahead.
No, just that's pretty much it. Like I said, a conversation that we would normally have, like, let's say we just set up a tent out here and we hung out in a tent all day. Like, we'd have a story, somebody would say something and be like, oh, I'll look it up on my phone. Oh, here, this is what I'm talking about. We couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's just straight, just conversation and just bond building, which was awesome.
Like sitting around in the tent, just like he said, you couldn't look anything up. So you literally had to explain it. You had to create a visualization for that person, or you had to go into such detail where they were able to be like, oh, okay. It was awesome.
People don't do that anymore.
They don't.
Bro, well, think about it. How long have we had these things in our hands? 12 years?
Yes.
15 years? It's been 15 years since we've been disconnected. Completely.
I disconnected, and I had a problem with it the first day.
Yeah.
By the fifth day, I didn't want the thing anymore.
No.
I was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like just living, because going out there with him, like, dude, at one point, okay, there's so much, and I just got it. It's probably I think it was, I don't remember which day it was. Okay. It's 11:30 at night. And in Idaho, or in certain parts.
This was the following day.
Yeah.
And raining all day, sitting inside.
We haven't taken showers. Smell like shit. You smell like bear. You smell like fucking Fremunda cheese. You're shitting in the woods, using dude wipes. Like, yeah, you're like, oh man, like this is it. Soak it all in. Fuck it. Don't worry about anything. So there are hot springs in Idaho. Hot springs are where there's just hot water that comes out of the earth off of a fucking mountain that's over 100 degrees. The water's over 100 degrees. And I'm like, this is nuts. And he's like, yeah, on the sides of the roads by the rivers, there'll be hot springs where people will there's like a place you can get in, like a hot tub, and sit inside a hot spring. And I'm like from the earth. Like, there's no like electricity warming this shit up. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, dude, you're going to be in there. And I'm like, I was like, all right. And he's talking about it and telling us how like the experience he's been like. He's like, dude, it's been fucking 0 degrees out. I'm hunting wolves for a few days. And he's like, and I'd just be fucking, I need to go in there. He's like, I'd get fucking down to my underwear and just go and find a hot spring and jump in a hot spring. I'm like in like 0 degree weather. And he's like, fuck yeah. I'm like, it's on the side of the road? He's like, yeah. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Let's go. So,
And the side of this road is
dude,
a
Jay,
dirt road.
it's not like we drove on a fucking dirt road, hour and 15, hour and a half. Like Jim Carrey and fucking
Ace Ventura off road. Yeah,
bro, it was fucking nuts. We're driving on this road, and I'm like, he's just telling us about this fucking ridge and this canyon as we're driving, how he's fucking caught in elk from here. His father-in-law killed a fucking massive bull elk over here. His wife killed one here. Like all this stuff. And I'm like, bitch, it is the middle of the fucking night. How do you know where we are?
Yeah.
We are hours. You are 5 hours away from your house. I don't even know how we've been on this fucking road for an hour and a half. How do you know this shit? Because, bitch, this dude lives in the fucking mountains.
Yeah.
He's telling us all this. So then all of a sudden we finally get there. And like, it's still kind of light out. It's 11:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay and I get out of the truck. And this dude's just like, everything in the wilderness should be very afraid of him.
Yeah.
Everything in there. There's not one thing that guy was afraid of out there. If anything, it's just the inclement weather.
Yeah.
He's like, no, everything should be very afraid of him. Dude's fucking nuts. So we're back, we're in there. And then Jay and I get out, and Jay's like, I look at him, I'm like, this is fucking insane. He hops out and just starts going. We're like, gotta keep up with him.
Yeah.
Jay's like, it looks like fucking Jurassic Park here.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I look at him and I'm like, is this not the fucking craziest thing you've ever done? I was like, this is fucking blowing my
We're
mind.
just in like a giant ravine. So both sides of you have mountains going up on both sides of you. You have a raging river going down the middle of it and just this tiny dirt road.
Yeah. We're talking mountains. I didn't do a good job of explaining that. The mountains are high as fuck. Like, and it's just, you're here. Mountain on this side, straight up and down. Mountain on this side, straight up and down. And then there's a dirt road. And like, you're supposed to drive there. And then we're looking for the steam. And then there's a fucking raging river because all the runoff, because it's the beginning of June. So everything's melting. And this is a very late spring there. It's still cold. And he's like, it's normally not this cold. And the river's raging. And you hear it. You get out of the truck. You hear the water flying down the mountain. And I'm like, it's fucking 11:30 at night. And we're looking for a hot spring to sit together in, just hang out and be dudes talking about nothing, just carrying on.
Yeah.
So we bought fucking shorts at the dollar store whenever we drove through the one fucking town.
Yeah.
Just so we could go sit in this bitch. And it's cold.
Yeah.
It's not warm out. So we're full camo layers. Jay and I are. And so we're going down, and sure enough, you see the moon coming from the mountain, like it's up above you. It's kind of light. You can see without having a light on. And you see the steam coming out from these hot springs. And I'm like, there they are. So we're going up to them. And sure enough, that fucking water is scalding hot. I'm like, why is it so hot? He's like, the liquid hot magma in the earth is heating it up. And I'm like, this is fucking jerk off. And I'm like, okay. So we start searching for the spots. Well, it just turns out that what happens is people would build these like they'd use big boulders and stuff, like right on the edge of the river.
Mm-hmm.
So then the hot water flows into that fucking spot that they build.
Yeah.
And then the cold water from the river soaks in there and mixes, and it ends up being like 90, 95 degrees in there. Well, it sucks for us because the runoff was going so fucking hard. The river was so high that it just washed it all through.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't able to get inside because the river's fucking ice cold.
Yeah.
And so we weren't able to get in there. But what we ended up doing, like there was spots where the hot springs were coming out so heavy that like you could literally like stick your head under there and like wash yourself off and just feel it. So it's probably 30 degrees out. The water's 100 degrees. So you'd get it on I was out there fucking soaking it up. I'm like, I'm standing in the middle of fucking nowhere in the mountains of Idaho. There's a hot spring. The moon is above me. I can see without a light on my head. The moon's above me, and there's a hot spring, and I'm like, this is some of the fucking coolest shit. I'm in there fucking bathing myself, just fucking washing my face off. And the second that the hot water, like it's 30 degrees out, so immediately your face is cold. And I'm like, just the like the sensations, the smells, the sounds, bro. It was awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's nuts.
I was stealing rocks. I took a rock from every hot spring we saw. I have like 20 rocks.
You tell Zach that.
He's like, stop taking the rocks out. He's like, you're like my fucking 5-year-old. Look at your pockets. My pockets are bulging.
Like SJ, you got fucking pockets full of rocks.
he goes. I have to tell my kids one rock. You get to pick one. He goes, Seth, pick one.
Every hot spring we went to, I fucking took a rock, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool. I put it in my pocket. And he's like, look at your pockets. Stop taking the rocks, Seth.
Oh my God.
Dude, it was incredible. There's all the feelings and all the emotions, and driving through really cool small towns. Mm-hmm. Like we drove for hours through Idaho, just hours on back roads, hours to different towns. He's like, you think these mountains are cool? Wait till you see these ones. Sure enough, we drive for a fucking hour this way, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's like desert. It goes from like, you know, where we started in Boise, it's like grassy field kind of mountains, and then you get into the tree mountains, and then you get into the snow-covered peak mountains, and then you get into the desert mountains.
Then you get into rock faces, and like it'll go from like, he'll be like, yeah, we'll go through a couple. We're driving, and it's fucking green with brush and trees, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, over this ridge we're going to get to it, and then all of a sudden the scenery's going to change. Sure enough, all of a sudden rock face mountains. And I'm like, it was wild.
Yeah.
It was wild. I will confidently say right now that I will be back to the mountains as often as possible.
Yeah.
I loved every minute of it. We went to lakes. Again, we drove hours to different lakes every day. We were waking up at 3:30, 4 o'clock every single morning. Every single fucking morning. And then not going to bed till midnight. Mm-hmm. We just went everywhere. Full dicked experience. There was nothing that was done lightly. It was the full-blown experience. And before we went, you know, we talked on the phone maybe a few days before we left. And he's like, my goal is to hook you. He's like, I'm going to hook you on this trip. He's like, the way you talk about it, he's like, my goal is to hook you. And by the end of the second day, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And just how well educated he was about everything. And that was one thing that really bothers him, is like the amount of hate that we got from those posts. Everybody's saying, oh, this isn't it. Like, you're horrible. Like, why would you do such a thing? He's like, those people still eat meat. And he's like, they're the ones that are deciding on what they think should be eaten and harvested and what should not. Like, who gets to dictate that?
Right.
He's like, the wilderness is ruthless, but so are human beings. He's like, I know. He's like, I've been studying the wilderness since day one with my father. He's like, I have a profound respect for this. He's like, I've hunted with some very, very highly recognized people, some very famous people. Like, friends of friends have asked him hey, can you take this person hunting? Mm-hmm. And he's like, and the first thing that I have to explain to everybody is he's like, this mountain does not give a fuck who you are. Mm-hmm. He's like, the wilderness doesn't care that you're famous and that you have millions of dollars. Does not give a fuck. The weather does not change because you're here. Mm-hmm. He's like, and I will not treat you any differently just because you're such and such. Like, this mountain does not give a fuck. So his education and everything that he thrives on is to make sure that he can be the absolute best he can be. He wants to hunt the most difficult animals to hunt. He wants to make sure that that things happen the way they're supposed to happen. He's like, there's so many people on this earth now that everything needs to be managed. He's like, we need to manage how we do things. And just his knowledge and how he respects all of it. You couldn't ask for for better experience.
Isn't that crazy that like that's no written law, that's no book on how to. It's strictly tradition.
Yeah.
You know, what he brought to you and how he showed you how to do anything was just strictly tradition from him, from his father, from his father's father, like
From the people, from the other wilderness people.
that's what I mean.
From the other
Like,
mountain men.
It's unreal, like how deep those roots go.
People out there hunting are not drunken dickhead rednecks.
Mm-hmm.
They're very well educated.
Yep.
You have to work hard to hunt out there. Like, you're not killing a bull elk by being a fat, out of shape person. We hunted public land. That was another thing that I didn't explain. We hunted public land. This was not a private reserve. It was not a fucking high fenced in area. There are many places where a lot of famous people kill big animals, and they're all on hunting reserves where they are literally fed. Like, there are a lot of places that a lot of famous people kill big giant bull elk that are high fenced in areas where those elk cannot leave. They see people, they know people. It's a private reserve. And then this is all public land. And I never really understood what they meant by that. And there's no disrespect for people that do those things, because you still have to go hunt them. But on public land, like, it's a free-for-all. You are part of the wilderness.
Right.
So that's something that he prides himself on a lot. He's like, I love that. He's like, I don't mind people, going on hunting preserves. He's like, I don't mind that. He's like, but I don't want people to lie about it, because a lot of famous people lie about them hunting on reserves. And they're just like, oh yeah, it's a private 3,000 acres. Yeah, well, there's private 3,000 acres. It's still a high fenced in area, which is 3,000 acres, a fucking shitload. But it's one of those things where he's like, a lot of people don't disclose that information. Right. So just getting that, there's a whole nother world to everything in there. But big thing for the people that hate on it all, he's like, they're not educated. And my thing was, I was like, do you think that the people that hated me for hunting a bear and harvesting the animal, literally, I'm using its fat, literally taking the fat so I can use the bear's fat, a natural, organic fat that was literally on that bear for me to be able to use to cook with, instead of a processed bullshit seed oil that everybody else cooks with that's fucking your body up. This is literally from the earth. And I'm the fucking asshole? And I'm like, do you think that they could tell you 3 facts about a bear? He's like, absolutely not. He's like, they just think they're warm and cuddly because they had teddy bears. They do not know that they are ruthless parts of nature that will decimate a population of actual food. Because before mass production facilities, he's like, this is how we did things. And then everybody's like, well, our ancestors did that, but now we have butcher shops that do that. Okay, so you mean to tell me you would rather eat an animal that their life was literally shit from the time they were born until the time of their death, when their fucking throat was slit and the blood poured out of them? They lived in their own shit. You'd rather eat that animal because its life was nothing. You like that big juicy burger? You like the burgers from McDonald's? You think that's real meat? Those animals were mass produced from the time they were born till the time they died. Their life fucking sucked. And then here we are, literally training to be able to go and harvest an animal in the wilderness. Training for that moment to be able to harvest that animal. And I'm the fucking asshole? I don't think so, bud. You don't even say grace before dinner. You don't thank Mother Earth or God or whoever it is that you believe in for the fucking food that sits in front of you to be able to nourish your bodies and your family so that you can continue to be a massive part of your community. No, you don't even do that. You don't even have respect to people that actually prepared your food, or the fucking butcher that went and actually killed the animal, that squealing fucking pig. Did you ever hear a fucking pig die? Yeah, it fucking squeals. It's a disgusting sound. But whenever you eat that bacon, do you like your bacon crispy or not so crispy? That's all you're worried about. You're not worried about the animal's life and what it sounds like to kill something, or the feeling of taking a fucking life and stopping a beating heart. You didn't give a fuck about that. You just like your bacon crispy, you disconnected fuck. So all the people that didn't like me or say anything, whatever, I will continue to do this because this is a tradition and a way of life that I believe is very important and lost. People don't even say fucking grace. You're disgusting. That's how I view it. So harvesting an animal and being able to learn about the wilderness and how much hunters put into this to make sure that a way of life is preserved and respected. I cannot tell you how wonderful and beautiful it was. I want to become even better. I want to educate myself even more about all the places that I want to go hunt and fish and learn about the animals so that I can be part of it and be able to not go to the goddamn grocery store. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go to the grocery store to get my meat. I would rather go and harvest fucking animals and stack my freezer full of meat that I killed and harvested and packed out of the fucking mountains myself than any other way. So that I know how I killed it. That's how I feel about the subject. And all these people that are saying it, it's like, okay, give me 3 facts about a bear. Mm-hmm. Did you know that they have a better sense of smell than any animal in the wilderness? No? Did you know that they are literally the quietest animal out there? Massive, 300 pounds. You don't hear it coming. Somehow. Terrible eyesight. Didn't know that. Have a hard time seeing beyond like 20 feet. Something like that. Like just things like that, mm-hmm. that nobody even knows or cares to know. They just like the feeling. There are feelings about it. Yeah. It's like, fuck your feelings. So it was, and whenever people hate or people saying all those things, I'm like, you the perspective on life that people have for everything, mm-hmm. and just what they want it to be. They want to live in their fucking soft, comfortable world. It's like I honestly, me personally, and Zach didn't disagree, but I was like, I think everybody should have to kill a fucking animal. You like eating meat, you have to kill a fucking animal or be present during the death of an animal. You should go feel that shit because it'll show you a new appreciation for all of life. You should have to feel it. Like, dude, just blood everywhere. The sounds of an animal, the death moan or something. I wanted to hear it, so I knew that feeling. Like whenever you watch, like I watch so many videos of animals being butchered. So again, just understanding the process. Everybody should go look up a pig getting slaughtered and think about your crispy bacon. That fucking squeal is ungodly. So whenever I eat pork now, that's what I think about. I'm like, man, this is wild. Like thinking about how this all works. And it's like, you want to make sure that whenever you take an animal's life, you are as good as fucking possible. Yeah. I'm going to train to make sure I am fucking phenomenal. I will make sure that I utilize everything I can from every animal that I harvest. And I will make sure that I am on the top of my fucking game. So whenever I take a shot, it is perfect, whatever it may be, so that the animal doesn't suffer. So everybody out there that thinks hunters are fucking dickhead drunk rednecks, you know what? There are some assholes that are fucking that don't have respect for certain things and treat things like shit. Yeah. Just like in anything. But me motherfuckers know. And if there's nobody out there willing to put their fucking best foot forward with it, then I'm going to be one that makes sure that people know that's how I want things to be. Yeah. Just as in bodybuilding and everything that we do. I'm not going to fucking lie to anybody. Why would I lie to somebody? I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm going to tell you exactly how things fucking work. Same thing with steroids and bodybuilding. Same thing with nutrition. You think it's a fucking secret? It's like all of a sudden people are fucking world-renowned geniuses for telling people they should eat fucking meat, fruit, and vegetables. Are you fucking with me? This is now like world-renowned information instead of processed bullshit, you stupid motherfuckers. So people were famous on the internet for telling you that you should eat meat, fruits, and veggies. Holy fuck, are we in a crazy state?
It's a new diet.
It's a new diet.
A new plan.
Are you fucking kidding me? Hey, you should probably stop eating those Doritos and pretzels and shit. Yeah, I like them. They taste good. But they hurt my belly. Okay, stop eating them. But they taste so good. You should eat fruits, veggies, and meats.
Shit.
That's a way of life I had never thought before. Are you fucking with me, you idiots? That's what I mean. There's just such this crazy disconnect in how fucking stupid some people are. It blows my mind. So, I don't know, getting that amount of hate from it all, I'm like, okay, I completely understand it. But please tell me what way of life is better. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be a vegan. I love eating meat. And if there's a way I can fucking harvest it myself, by God, I will do so. Mm-hmm. And I am going to do so. And if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. But there's probably certain things about your life that I don't like, and that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But this is going to be me. And if you don't like me, unfollow. A lot of people did unfollow me. Good. I'm pumped you unfollowed me.
See you later.
I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. Because as I've gotten older, I am not in the clout game. I don't give a fuck. I don't want clout. I want real motherfuckers. I want people that are emotionally connected with what they want to do, which would be passion. If you don't have passion, fuck out of here. I don't want you. And that's one of the reasons people love listening to us so much and all everything we do with the company. Passion.
That's it. Glad you guys made it out.
Yeah.
Made it back.
We're good. This is a good group of boys here. We're all gonna die out here. Oh. So Jay, I mean, we hung out for so long. I think we've all quoted enough movies in the tent together. Zach is literally, all it was fucking movie quotes, busting balls, and educating us and telling us about every hunt that he's been on in his entire life. And there wasn't a place in Idaho we went that he didn't know something about.
Yeah.
But what was your perspective of me, like, going through all this?
You going through it?
Yeah.
It was just cool to see. I mean, having him there, just knowing everything. Like, he guided you.
Yes.
He guided me.
Yeah.
He guided both of us. But just getting to see you who wants to be a part of everything. You want to kill the bear. You want to physically touch it with your hands. You know, he started cutting the bear up and you're like, when can I start? Where can I be a part of this? And him showing everything. And, you know, with other stuff too, like what he hasn't talked about yet really is the wolf population there and how that affects Idaho in general. Just the way that he goes about the wolves and going after them and hunting them.
The wolf population, apparently they had native wolves there. And Zach's known for hunting wolves, and he gets a lot of hate for it. But what people don't understand is it's that in 1995, for some reason, the government decided that they're going to drop in 150 gray wolves into Idaho. And those 150 gray wolves in 1995 decimated the population of the other wolves, the native wolves that were in Idaho. And he's like, I still to this date don't know why they did it. Why the government, the federal government, gets involved with nature whenever it's just a bunch of fucking cucks in there thinking they know what they should do and they're not in Idaho. Like, I thought, I watch, Animal Planet. I know about it. I watch documentaries. Fuck that. When you're out there and in the documentaries, they're talking about how, the wolf population is decimating. No. Wolves are absolutely fucking ruthless. They are the hardest animal to hunt on the planet. In 1995, the federal government dropped 150 gray wolves into Idaho, into a part. I can't remember what he said. And they came in last year. There were more wolves killed in Idaho than any other year before. However, it was also the highest number of wolves ever counted as well. There is now over 1,500 gray wolves in the wilderness, and he is like, they are chewing through the elk, deer, antelope population. Like, I mean, chewing through it. He's like, they now made wolf season all year long, hunt them any time of day. You name it, you can hunt them. You're able to even replace a tag that you have with a wolf tag. So if you have an elk tag and you see a wolf, but you don't have a wolf tag,
You can take the wolf and
with any tag that you
Yeah.
have. He's like, they are such a problem. They are decimating our population. And he's like, these things are fucking highly intelligent. And I'm like, so you communicate with them? He's like, how long you say? 8-10 years he's been hunting with them. He's been hunting them. And he howls. Sounds like a fucking wolf.
Yeah.
He howls at the wolves and he communicates with them. I'm like, so you call these fuckers in? He's like, yeah. And it's on camera with him for his father-in-law, him calling in the wolves and everything. And I'm like, they communicate. And he's like, yes. And he was explaining how they communicate. and packs of them. He was explaining like the pack of wolves on this mountain. And I'm like, so like these things control territory. And he's like, they will cover massive amounts of area. And he's like, and whenever you run into a pack of wolves that have like, if there's a pack of 10 wolves, he's like, they will fuck anything up and they are ruthless.
And he said when he goes to call, so he makes a wolf call to call them in.
Yes.
He's like, the intelligence of that group is they're going, oh, that's somebody that's not part of our group. Let's go fuck them up.
Let's go find them. So they call back, and then he calls. And then they're like, okay, we'll see who you are. We'll come and visit you. And then sure enough, they'll come trickling in.
But they're not coming to say, hey. They're coming, you're in our territory, and we're going to kill you.
He's like, they killed the native wolf population very quickly.
Wow.
And now he's like, dude, it was 150. And now there's over 1,500 wolves. And he's like, they will chew through populations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how many elk they said a day. Like, it's not like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does to the population of elk, deer, antelope, and everything we went to hunt out there, that a lot of people come in to hunt, it's going to disappear over time. And that's why, I mean, dude, farmers call him to go kill the wolves there or hunt them or whatever. And whenever they call the state government and tell them what happened, like recently, a pack of wolves ran 120 some sheep off of a fucking cliff. It was recent. They ran them off a fucking cliff. The pack of wolves ran them off. And he's like, yeah, it was a huge massacre. That guy's entire livelihood is gone now. That farmer's, and then sure, they're like, oh, well, you'll get reimbursed. He's like, they get reimbursed at the literally bare minimum of what could occur. He's like, so now he has to start from scratch. Usually it's like a rotating thing where you make sure you never decimate your entire population of your farm. That just occurred for him. So then the government comes in and they hunt wolves from the air. And he's like, wolves ain't fucking stupid, dude. Mm-hmm. Wolves stay away from the roads. They stay away from all humans. They do not want human interaction whatsoever. Yeah. They hear a truck door, fucking cooked. Mm-hmm. They hear anything like it, cooked. And just him explaining it all and how he does things and how he hunts for them, there was some intense fucking shit. We saw a wolf kill the second to last day we were there. We saw a bald eagle. Like from about 300 yards away, he spots a bald eagle.
America.
And we're looking around. We're like, where? He's like, out there.
And I'm like,
that white
that white head that's literally this fucking big from 300 yards away. And he's like, there it is. And I'm like, how the fuck did you see this? So we're there, and he's like, and then all of a sudden we saw the turkey vulture. We saw a raven. And I'm like, dude, they're all hanging out together. He's like, there's a carcass there. I'm like, you think so? He's like, guarantee it's a wolf kill. We're like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know how the fuck you know this or think you know this. Yeah. And he's like, guaranteed. He's like, fuck it. Puts it in park. We're on a back road. We've been on a back road for about an hour and a half then too. And we get out and just go out, and there's someone's property was over there. And so we walked out, and sure enough, dude, cow elk, female elk, carcass right there. He's like, this is probably about 3 days old. And I'm like, it's a wolf kill. He's like, oh yeah, look at the ribs. Fucking this, dude, it's like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Chewed. Everything is chewed from it. Birds have been picking at it. But the ribs, like we're talking, like it's like my wrist. Mm-hmm. It's a rib bone. Chewed right off. All of them. Broken off. He's like, yeah, see? He's like, look at the teeth marks right here. It chewed right off. Broke these off. I was like, hey, they broke that fucking bone off. And he's like, yeah, dude. Fuck. Unreal. So at that point, he's like, I know this pack of wolves. And I'm like, I bet you do. So next morning, it was the coldest night of the entire stay, mid-20s. He's like, we're not missing this opportunity. He's like, I'm going out. You guys coming with? I'm like, yeah, fucking right.
Don't know what we're doing, but yep.
Yep. Man.
Let's go. So we're up at 4, and we are gone and out in this fucking, out there fucking into the wilderness, and he starts howling at fucking wolves. And I'm like,
the sun's not even up, and I'm just filming some guy just make wolf noises in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
When you really think about it. But
yeah, that's what we were fucking doing. he needs to have his own show called Idaho.
Yeah.
It was insane. More education than I've ever got from any hunting video I've ever watched. More passion too. Like, dude is a mountain man. It was, like I said, I'm hooked. I want to experience things in life like that more and more, because the appreciation, more people need to appreciate the outdoors. It's kind of like how like put it this way. We're looking at the fucking mountains, snow-covered mountains, okay, from a distance that you'd see in a movie. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, so, like, you have no desire to climb that fucking mountain. Like these hikers that are all at these small towns that stay there and they're fucking in their rafts and all excited, and, you know, like people hiking.
Yeah.
I'm like, you would never hike that. He's like, fuck no, I'm not hiking that. It's like, so you wouldn't? He's like, there's big bull elk up there. I'll hike that bitch. I'm like, so you're not hiking it for fun, but if there's an animal up there, you'll hike that to go hunting. He says, fuck yeah. I'm like, so you'll literally do the same thing as them, but not for the same reason. He's like, animal at the top. And I'm like, those snow-covered mountains, what's in there? He's like, billies. I'm like, so that's what you want? He's like, that's the tag I want. He's like, because that's another once-in-a-lifetime hunt. It's hunting those big white billy goats.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the tag that I want. Also out there, big out there is rams. Really, really hard tag to draw. They're controlled. Like you can't, like I can't just go and buy a ram tag.
Gotcha.
You can't. No. It needs to be drawn, and it's very unlikely that you're going to draw one.
He said like 20, 30 years.
People put in 20 years in a row, never get it. Yeah. He's like, you can go to certain places and pay like big money. And I'm like, what's big money? He's like, 25 grand. I'm like, you could pay 25 grand. Yeah, that's the amount. He's like, yeah, that's just for, I can't remember the species of ram, but yeah. He's like, there's hunts that cost 35, 40 grand.
Fuck.
There's elk reserves where you kill massive bulls on these reserves. $50,000+. So they're reserves, but you're killing some of the biggest fucking elk on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. But you're paying big money. There's bear reserves. He's like, this bear you killed, people pay fucking $8,000-$10,000 to go in Canada and kill. He's like, you killed it on public land. And I was like, it was me calling a friend to take me out hunting out west. And he's like, people pay big money and travel the all over North America to kill what you killed. It was so cool. It was so cool.
I'm pumped for you, dude. I'm glad you went. We don't often do these things. We don't, like you said, last year we worked so fucking much. Last year was insane.
It was a bit much.
You know, so I was really pumped for you that you took the time and you did go through with it. Not that you weren't going to, but shit comes up here, and when shit comes up here at work or in our life, we drop everything.
We drop everything and do work.
You know, and I'm just pumped you got to do it, because I think it's something that's going to stick with you, and it's going to be a big part of your life.
It will be.
Yep.
It is for sure.
Yep.
And like how whenever you were talking about like the Ironman, like the terrains, like I loved the training portion of getting ready to go do this.
Yeah.
I learned very quickly, like this motherfucker, he said if he's like superpowers. You know how people talk about superpowers and superheroes? He's like, I want to run like an elk. And I'm like, oh boy, you are a mountain man. This was like day one that he was saying this. And then we saw elk climb mountains. And I started like, we didn't climb any crazy steep mountains. And he's like pointing, he's like, yeah, over on the top of that one over there, we did this. And I'm like, hey, I was like, how the fuck did you get there? He's like, we climbed it. I'm like, how long did it take you to get up there? He's like, about 2.5 hours. I'm like, so you hiked up that bitch 2.5 hours?
Yeah, killed an elk, and then we had to take 3 more trips to go pack it out.
My God.
Bro. And I'm like, that's the shit. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you hunt them. And he gets like excited. And I'm having this sense of like, this is the fucking cool, this is what I want to feel.
Yeah.
Like I want that. And that's whenever the superpower thing came up. And I'm like, they just go right up this bitch. And he's like, how it took us 2.5 hours to get up that bitch. He's like, it might take out 15 minutes. I'm like, get out of here. So whenever we were watching, we just sat and watched these animals operate. And I'm like, this is how he learns so much. He's just in the fucking mountains, learning as much as he can. And he has 2 sons, and he's like, I want to experience all of this with my sons, all of it, every single bit of it.
That's cool.
And that was the big thing for me, was me actually doing these things and learning more about them and building relationships with Zach, Ryan, and other people in the hunting community, because they all have children as well.
Yep.
And to be able to carry on a tradition that I go out west, and if it's just packing bait in, if it's going elk hunting or antelope hunting, I want to be able to bring SJ with me.
Yeah.
And then his sons. So whenever it's me and SJ, we come out west to hang out with Zach and his sons, we will get to go do those things together. So whenever myself and Zach pass, they will still have a relationship of their fathers that we got together, even though we were from 2 different sides of the United States of America, going and doing something cool. Those gentlemen coming to here and us doing cool shit here and us flying there, like that to me is something that doesn't occur very much. There's not many traditions. Like I want those things in my life. I think that they're lost, and I don't think that they should be. I think they should. And if no matter what people are into in life, if they get together and do cool shit together, it's better for the society. It's better for everything that's occurring, because the lack of it and the so much digital that's occurring rather than face-to-face interactions and actually being in nature and fucking touching it, feeling it, smelling it, and connecting with it, bro, I'd say it's fucking more important now than ever. Yeah. I'd rather do my cardio outside than inside. I'd rather go I want to experience everything I can. I do. I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
And there's going to be days whenever I don't want to do cardio outside, and I'm going to be like, is it setting in that this sucks and I don't want to do this anymore? Nope, I'm going to fucking stay on it.
Yeah.
There's so much more that has occurred. I don't even know what I said over the past 2 hours, but there was way more.
I'm trying to think. Like
we went to lakes. Jay got fucking incredible pictures.
Drones.
The drone shots alone.
You were in your element.
For real.
Yeah.
Really. Like there were times where they loved watching me fly the drone, because I was getting I was getting his like heart throat beating situations, because I'm just sending it in the wilderness and getting close to stuff. And
Zach was fucking going nuts. He was so pumped for him. He's like, look how hard Jay is. He's fucking rock solid. He's fucking harder than a diamond in an ice storm. Yeah, it was fucking. And Jay would be like, "Hey," he's like, "Pull over. We need to hear." And he's like, "Jay's hard. Fuck yeah." He's like, "I'm stopping. Let's see it." We're going around this one canyon, and we're going around, and all of a sudden, Jay's like, "There it is. Pull over." And Zach's like, "Fuck yeah." He doesn't know what he just saw because we're driving. He's like, "Okay." So we pull over, and we see it because it's rock face. Okay. But then on that rock face, there's like a valley in the mountain. I don't even know how you said it. Almost like a hole through the mountain.
Yeah. It's like a giant V
on the mountain.
Made
okay.
Of rock.
And below it is the river that's just flying. And then it's up a rock face mountain. And on the other side is like all this greenery and shit. And like we're looking, and Zach and I are like, Jay's fucking in. This is gonna be a cool shot. Meanwhile, Jay's gotten like 20 fucking sick drone shots. But like, here we go. So sure enough, Jay fucking starts sending it up. He's getting shots, and he's about to send it through this valley or through this fucking ridge on a ridge, okay? And he starts sending it. All of a sudden, fucking birds come out of nowhere and start swooping at the drone.
No shit.
He's like, "Oh, that's a family of swallows. You're probably close to like their
nest,
like
nest.
their nest or something."
No, dude,
Dude, it's surrounded by like 4 of them.
And Jay's shitting himself because if the fucking drone goes down, all that content's lost, and it goes into the fucking river.
Right.
That's literally a fucking couple 100 feet down. Because we're on a goddamn mountain. So first time he sends it, they're fucking swooping all through it. And then sure enough, Jay's like, I got to get another shot. Brings it back and sends it through again. we're fucking dying. Super cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
Then in the morning, one morning, we wanted to go get some shots for the new AAR release. So
Yeah.
we're like, hey, we went and took some of the shirts with us, and we woke up again 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Drove about an hour, and then of course we just pull off the side of the road, and there's beautiful mountains in the background, and it was like kind of overcast, and the clouds were moving.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, clouds are moving through clouds and fog through the forests that are on the mountains, and then the snow-covered mountains in the background. So it's just the fucking pictures look fake.
Yeah.
They don't look real.
But it still doesn't do it justice.
No. So Jay gets the drone out because the clouds are now covering, and we're like, fuck,
And we're
these
sitting there. He's like, "Should we move?" Like we're trying to get that sunrise, like yellow glow,
on the mountains.
and fog just rolled in, and we're just sitting in fog. And I was like, "Let me just put the drone up just to see if it's like going away." And it's just fog. And then all of a sudden, I just get above the fog, and it looks like the Paramount, like.
And then again, Jay made the noise, and Jay. Yeah, Jay. Jay's like, oh my God. And Zach's like, fucking right. Show us that dick.
Oh my God, this is awesome.
Bro, it was funny as fuck. And sure enough, like we'd get behind Jay and like start watching it. Dude, it's like the drone literally floated up through the fucking fog and clouds, and then there's the fucking mountains, orange and as beautiful as can be. It was so cool.
Man.
It was incredible. Then we went to lakes, caught fish. Jay caught his first fish ever.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then the last day we were there on Wednesday, we went bow fishing for carp. And it was a horrible day of bow fishing.
Yeah.
The fucking river was super murky.
Yeah.
Super shit. Meanwhile, normally you can see right through and just shoot fucking dozens of carp.
Yeah.
Carp are an invasive species. They are fucking everywhere. It's wild. But people travel from all over the country to go where we went bow fishing on Grins and Fins. And what was the other one? Hot Lips.
Hot Lips, yeah.
Those were the two boat names we went on. So sure enough, we are fucking bow fishing, and it's hard. You barely see any. But people travel from all over the country to go where we went to go butterfly carp fishing, bow fishing. Butterfly carp are regular ugly carp, but they are like pretty
They said
colored.
it's mixed with like a koi fish.
So koi
So it's
fish,
like a giant koi fish.
it's like a giant koi fish. So it has flowing fins that whenever it's in the water going through it looks like a butterfly's. Like with the things are moving. Super long flowing fins. People travel from all over for this. Jay shoots it its first fucking time. Zach goes, he literally goes, I officially fucking hate both of you. And we're like, he's like, you killed a bear bigger than me? And he's like, I've been carp fishing for quite some time and still have not shot a butterfly carp.
Dude, what the fuck?
Bro, dying. So we're like, we're keeping it.
Yeah.
We're fucking mounting it.
Yeah, they're like, "Are you gonna keep this to mount?" And I'm like, "What?"
They're like, this is, you don't do this. And Zach's like, I never shot one yet. I'm like, hey, we're keeping the fucking fish.
Yeah.
We're mounting it.
That's awesome.
Yep. We met so many tremendous people, so many outstanding, helpful, just excited to teach people like us that are very uneducated about being out there. It was just so cool. It was so fucking awesome and beautiful. And it inspired me to want to do a better job with everything that I do because, you know, at times we get to thinking like everybody tells us how great we are. Like, you guys are solid motherfuckers. You guys are real. There are other people out there like it. That's why we do as good as we do as a business, because all of you buying and listening and supporting, you guys are the real motherfuckers that people need in this world.
Yeah.
You are, because we met more of them and they were more excited about educating us than we were about learning. And that's pretty hard to do because we were fucking pumped. It was just tidbit after tidbit. There wasn't a time whenever you could ask a stupid question. And that's what I've chased this whole entire time in my life, is being around hardworking motherfuckers that are just so excited to teach us stuff. Because I love teaching people about things or just giving people an experience. And we got to feel it from people the entire way across the country.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Yeah, like that, like teaching those things like that, they want you to feel those same feelings that they did.
They felt them as children.
Yeah.
we're full grown adults.
Yeah.
And we were acting like children. We were so excited.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, and even Zach said, he's like, this was one of the funnest hunting trips I've been on. And I don't care if he's lying to me. He just said that to make me feel good about myself. But I literally he's like, your big ass was like a child at certain points. He's like, you were so excited. I was like, dude, I felt like a kid. Like I'm learning for the first time. And whenever he found out, like this was Jay's first time fishing ever. Mm-hmm. Jay's never been fishing. Zach didn't know this. So we're at this lake that we're getting pictures at, and it's fucking beautiful. Like, it's mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. And, like, we're getting all these cool shots of me, and, like, the shirt's just, it looked so beautiful. I don't know if it was me or the mountains. I don't know. So we're taking pictures, and Zach's like, hey, got enough fucking pictures. Go pick up a fishing pole. So Jay's like, okay. He goes over to Zach, and he's like, so how's this work? And he's like,
I'm just like, so what do I do? He just goes, you fucking cast it.
He's like, you cast it and put it in the fucking water.
I'm like, all right.
And at that moment,
that's my lesson.
You throw it like a javelin.
So I look over and I'm like, I think that this is Jay's first time fishing. I'm like, I think this is it. So I go over and I'm like, I was telling him how to use the reel and all this and casting out there. And Jay is left-handed, and we give him a right-handed fucking pole.
Yep.
So it's like throwing a football with your left hand, looking like an idiot.
Yep.
And Zach is then like, so I'm telling Jay, and Zach looks at me and goes, is this your first time fishing? And Jay's like, yeah, that's why I asked you. And he's like, hold on. He's like, you're 32 years old. He's like, yes. And he's like, you've never been fishing. This is the first time you're ever fishing. And he's like, that's what I told you. And he's like, we're not leaving here until you catch a fish. Like, all of a sudden, dude came like dead serious dad mode. Like, we're not fucking leaving until you catch a fish. Like, he's like, I don't care if we're here for days. He's like, you're catching one. And sure enough, fucking like third cast in, Jay catches a fish. Zach was more excited about catching the fish than he was about anything this entire. He's like, this is a rite of passage. He's like, this is a rite of passage. He's like, this is the greatest thing in the world. Like, overwhelmed with joy and excitement.
I'm holding the fish and I'm like,
literally
Seth's trying to take a picture. He's like, why are you not excited?
I was like, I don't know.
Oh, it was fucking awesome.
Blew his mind.
Yeah.
Bro, he's fucking completely smoked. Completely smoked.
That's cool.
The guy is, he's an outstanding human being.
Dude, just driving down the road, all of a sudden there's a broken down truck
full of fucking rafters. Mm-hmm. Like, there's like 12 people probably.
He just goes, all right.
He's like, all right. So I was like, we're on fucking dirt road again.
Nowhere.
Middle of fucking nowhere. These people in the rafts are broke down. And here comes Zach. And he's like, oh, all right. Let's see. So we pull up and they're like, hey, da-da-da. And he's like, okay. Throws it in park, turns the truck off, and gets out. And I'm like, so we're getting out, huh? Middle of fucking nowhere. He just starts helping him.
He's like, we saw you're in a diesel truck. We thought you might know something about diesel.
He's like, all right, we'll see what we can figure out. Spent like 45 minutes there helping these people, seeing what we could do to help them. And I'm just like, this dude here who is Mr. Mountain Man, who gets hate for doing what he does online and hunting and things like that, is actually one of the fucking kindest souls I've ever met. Yeah. Monster of a human being. Everything in the wilderness should be very scared, but just such a swell person. Mm-hmm. And then again, like, it was that. There was a few times he did things like this that just
the coffee.
Immediate, yeah, the coffee. We drove into town the one day, and we're standing there at the coffee spot, and this dude, we were getting coffee. It was whenever we were shooting pictures. We drove in to shoot pictures and stopped to get a coffee. This super small town, tiny. And like, you get service there, and then you drive half a mile away from it, no more service. And we're there, and the guy comes up, and it was all cash at this little coffee stand, and he didn't have cash, and she's telling him where to go to get the ATM. And he looked out and he says, no, he's like, here, have a couple bucks. Handed the dude a few bucks to get coffee instead of having to go to the ATM, and didn't expect it. The dude was like kind of shocked. Yeah. Like, but it was just like the countless times, one thing after another, this dude's just such a swell individual. And yeah, it was, we got to spend time with another person that had our mentality, that being a real motherfucker. Yeah. It was, and whenever today it seems like it's a rarity, but it wasn't with anybody we were there. Even the rafters, like whenever we pulled up and like got out, he was taking a look. Within 3 minutes, they brought their cooler out and said, "Here, grab beers. You want a drink? Here's waters. Whatever you want." I'm like, everybody here's for a reason, and that's to get away from all the bullshit in the world and be cool motherfuckers.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. It's refreshing.
It was one of the coolest trips of my entire
Seth
life.
didn't want to leave.
I did not.
I believe it.
I was like, I'm cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back a lot. I want to experience everything I can, and I want to experience it in other parts of the world as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's why we do so well as a company. Mm-hmm. Because the people that purchase, the people that support everything that we're doing are like that. They just don't have the platform that we have, which makes it more apparent for me that I need to be much louder. Mm-hmm. I need to be much louder than I am on social media right now about everything. And I don't care if people get annoyed by me saying it. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. We need more good motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. We need more people with this mentality pushing and supporting other good motherfuckers. Because if not, we're going to be overrun by fucking people that actually don't give a fuck about life. Mm-hmm. They have no respect for it. They have no excitement for it. All they're focused on is the degeneracy of society. Mm-hmm. And money is great, and you can't do things in this world without money. But if you're not being a good motherfucker during the process of making it, and everything that we work here to support and do, it's not possible. So everybody that supports our companies, that purchases anything, understand that we absolutely love it, we appreciate it, and we will continue to do great things in our community and spread as much as we can of the good shit. Because it was all the way in the middle of fucking Idaho. It was all the way there. And you guys are all over the world. You listen from different countries, and I get messages. We get messages about everything you guys do to support us. We know it because we know how many supplements we sell to all the different countries. We know how many shirts and where our orders go. Those are all analytics that we have, and we absolutely love everything that you do to support us. It's no longer like with how society has changed in America. It's no longer like one way. It's just being a good motherfucker, standing up for doing the right thing and having respect for people and ways of life. It's what we've always done. It's what we built this company on. And I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful thing.
It's awesome.
It's nuts.
Good job out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I will not forget being freezing cold at nighttime.
Nope.
It was fucking nuts. Shitting in the woods. I'll end it with this. After Tristan, like your opinion of what we just listened to, you always have something.
Yeah, well, one of my questions was like, what was it like shitting out there? Like, what did you wipe with? But you said dude wipes.
That's what I was just about to say. First day, we get the explanation of how to shit in the woods.
Yeah.
How he shits in the woods.
Him and Ryan are like battling
Yeah.
with each other. Once he found out how Ryan does it,
he's like, no. He's like, you don't hold on to nothing out there. You just squat down, take a shit, like, squat. And Ryan's like, no way. He's like, you find like a tree or a branch or something you hold on to, like stick your ass out and just get away so you can like kind of like lean into it, like you're holding on to something and lean into it.
Yeah, so you're like away from your boots.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you doing trusting that? He's like, who trusts a branch? He's like, you're leaning over it and you're not like fully supported. He's like, what happens if the branch breaks? You're going to shit all over yourself. You're going to fall on your own
he's
shit.
like, that, you got to find a branch that's not going to break.
He's like, yeah, I'm not trusting a branch. He's like, not when I'm shitting. He's like, I'm just squatting. He's like, you literally drop your pants to here and then you just squat down. I'm like,
He goes, yeah.
and Jay and I are looking at each other like, this is a wonderful conversation. We've known you guys for less than 8 hours because we're going to have to shit in the woods.
Yeah, we need to know.
And Zach's like, he's like, I would rather shit in the woods than a public bathroom. He's like, I think public bathrooms are absolutely fucking disgusting. He's dead serious. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
dead serious. And Jay and I are like, okay. Like, this is entertaining because he and I are like, we're not close to towns.
Yeah.
We're not shitting in a public bathroom. It's going to be outside.
Yep.
So, and he's like, dude, there's nothing better than taking a fucking shit in the woods, glassing for bear on the mountains. And
We're like, what?
And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, yeah. He's like, you go find a fucking spot. You're alone. It's fresh. It smells beautiful out. He's like, you find a good view of a mountain get out your fucking binoculars and just glass for bear, glass for animals. He's like, I love it. I'm like, so you're sitting there squatting down, shitting, just looking at the mountain. He says, yeah. He's like, you'll get lost out there. And Jay and I are fucking dying, like, because you wear your bino harness everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you just leave it on because you might drive past somewhere, or you might be hiking somewhere. And be like, oh, there it is, and you just hang out and glass for animals.
Yeah.
So first day, I'm like, God damn it, like everybody's there. I got to go find a spot and shit in peace.
Yeah.
You know, so you do it, and you have dude wipes, and they're all flushable and disposable and all that, so you're good. And you're out there and you take shit in the woods. And his method worked. I like Zach's method better.
Yeah.
Just you pull your pants to like knee height and squat down. Your balls are hanging there and a little chilly.
Yeah.
But you take a nice shit. And actually, I enjoyed it because like it pushed your belly. Like my belly felt empty after I took my shit in the woods.
Yeah, good angle.
Yeah, really good angle.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, man, I was like kind of like, there was a lot of trees around me. I felt like kind of like caved in. I was like, well, weird. And then I'm like, he said like, find a good spot and look at the mountain. Well, it just so happens there's a mountain right where we were staying. Right where we were camping. So I, sure enough, one day I'm like, all right, so I had my bino harness on. I'm out there. So I'm like, I'm going to go do what he said. So I found a fucking nice quiet spot, a little open, but nobody's around because nobody else is camping there because it's cold as fuck. Like we're still early in the season.
Yeah.
So I sat there and shit and just stared at the mountain, took the binos out, looking all over there. I was like, I could get used to this. Then I was like, sure enough, after I wiped my ass and get up and leave, I'm like, I can't wait to shit tomorrow to do it again.
Yeah.
Sure enough, the next day, same spot, taking a shit, looking at the mountain.
Went back to your spot. Yeah. You shitting outside the house yet, or? Seriously, Hannah comes to the work. She's like, oh my God.
Why? I
What we're
said it. I
doing.
told Hannah this story, and she's like, you don't shit outside, okay? Yeah.
He goes, I have problems with my kids. He's like, we come home and he goes, they go out in the backyard.
His one son shits outside. It's fucking funny.
Fucking nature.
Nature versus nurture.
Nature always wins.
5 generations of large family breeding. Dude, it was real. I loved it. And I'm like, just him being around and his influence on how much he loves it out there, you could not help. It was so contagious.
Mm-hmm.
It was so contagious to be there because he made every fucking experience out there be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Like wanting to be a part of it all, wanting to learn more about animals. If you are into the wilderness, fucking, you could not have been out there with a better person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hunt antelope with him. I want to hunt antelope. He had quite the obsession with antelope.
Yeah.
How fascinating they were.
Mm-hmm.
Like how their eyes sit on the side of their head and they have 100-degree vision.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Incredible vision.
Yeah.
And like just him explaining how they run, how they migrate, where they go. I'm like, dude, you literally like a fucking textbook.
Mm-hmm.
How quick they are, the second fastest animal on the planet. Getting just fact after fact after fact. And I'm like, you look at him and you don't think you have all this knowledge up there. Mm-hmm. But he has so much knowledge up there because it has one goal: the hunt.
Yep.
The only way to be good at hunting is to understand the animal better than the animal knows itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you become a good hunter. It's so cool. So cool. I may have started researching antelopes and other animals.
Oh yeah, you have your next trip planned, I'm sure.
It's in my head. Yes,
Yep.
I want many. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, I now like you doing your Ironmans and the different terrains and all the different things, like being in Utah and how that's some of the toughest terrain.
Yep.
Like these are the things that people should be going after in life.
For
the
sure.
things they visualize and the difficulty, the level of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I want. Like I want the experience of all that it has to offer. And I think people need to do that for whatever it is they have passion for.
Yep.
If it's bodybuilding, go after bodybuilding people.
Mm-hmm.
If it's running a marathon, go run the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Ironman, go run the Ironman. Whatever it is in your head that you want to experience or is on your bucket list, go do it, dude.
Yep.
Do not wait in life. Mm-hmm. Save up for it and go do it with people that love it as much as you do.
Mm-hmm.
you will feel much different about everything. Because I feel a whole lot different, and I have a new respect for many things in life.
You're gonna meet a community of people that you wish you were a part of this entire time.
Like you with your Ironman.
Yep. Yeah, you go race to race, dude. The camaraderie, bro. I'm competing against every single person that's there. Every single person is like in my crosshairs, and the community it's unreal. Yeah, I've never met so many healthy, driven, responsible people in my life, and it's just through triathlon.
Yeah.
Is that a wild animal out there?
That was a wild Pennsylvanian.
Got it. But
no, it and it's crazy because it seems like the voices and the bullshit of society are louder than those voices.
for sure, and you get attracted to those things just because it's forced in your vision. You know what I mean? Like all the bullshit. It's like you're herded towards what you think you should be.
And more negativity gets bigger traction
Yeah.
than positive, cool shit.
Yeah.
Like it's better to be like
It's so stupid simple to think about. Like literally, if you just live in your own world and go do your own thing, like that's what this is all about. It sounds so stupid, but it's the reality.
I had a lot of people say like, because whenever I found out about the amount of hate that I was getting from people that don't actually like me,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't act, they were like, oh, this isn't it, this is bad, this is this, and I'm like, well, then why are you here? I've been talking about going bear hunting for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You guys act like you know who I am, or you like to think, or you make it that I'm the person that you want me to be. I'm
Yeah.
going to be me, just as you should be you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe I don't agree with how you raise your kids. What do you think of that? How does that make you feel? You know what I mean? But I don't go on your page and fucking just bash the shit out of you.
Right.
So whenever all this happened, and I'm like, you can tell me you hate it as much as you want. I'm still going to do it because I love it and I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in it. It's a way of life that I believe in. So like whenever I made that video, Jay and Zach were sitting there, and then I was like, and if you don't like how I do things, then fuck you. Like I'm doubling down on this. I'm not going to cave in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to become more educated about it than you ever are about any other subject. Like that's my goal.
Yeah.
So it's wild. And a lot of people message me back there like, thank you for not giving in to anything. I'm like, I'm not giving in to shit no more.
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am. I know what I want. And I love it. I have respect for life, and I have respect for a lot of people in this world. I don't respect people that take advantage of the world and take advantage of things that just for their own personal egotistical gain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fucking with that no more.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to entertain it. Fuck you, on do cool shit. I love it. It was funny as fuck. Dude, Jay, like how excited he and I got over the most simple things is what made the trip beautiful.
I said to him, I will. At first, we couldn't put this into words. He's like, I don't even know how to describe this.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm trying to write a description for my Instagram post. He's like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And I said, this is something that I'll obviously remember and you know, tell grandkids at Christmas dinner,
Yeah. Right.
you know,
Yeah.
30, 40 years from now.
Yeah. The pictures we got, the pictures, I remember them now, like in my head, like about taking them and how it felt, like the temperature, like waking up in the morning, it's 31 degrees outside and we're going to take pictures. And I'm like, you see your breath, you're hanging out there, your fingers are cold standing there. I'm in a t-shirt taking pictures next to the lake. And I'm like, it's fucking freezing cold out. But it was just, I won't forget the pictures that Jay and I took, that Zach and I took, everything. I don't want to. I've written many things down, like personally, so that way, like I want to get pictures, developed, so that I have them, and then on the back of the picture, like that I have in like frames or wherever I keep them, I want to have like descriptions about it all.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget it. I want to be able to go back and relive it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we all need to do those things. You know, when you're at a race, like I don't know if you do that, but that's something like the pictures, like. I whenever we were out there, I realized that this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want it to go away. I want to make sure it's part of my life and part of my kids' life, so they experience it. Maybe they can be as fortunate to be able to take it for granted.
Yeah.
Because if you are that fortunate to be able to take something like that for granted, you are in a very blessed place.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, like, I also want to make sure that whatever I can do for Zach and Ryan, in my regard, in my world, I want to make sure that I return the favors, because there was no money. This wasn't a guided thing. This was friends out in the wilderness together, helping one another learn and experience something that they've been dying to do. Mm-hmm. So that's what made it so wonderful. It's a wild community too.
Oh yeah.
Hunters are very wild. Like the apparel, the companies. I didn't mention this, and I know it's at the end of this, but Montana Knife Company sent me knives. They found out how excited I was about the bear hunt that I was going on, because Brandon, their social media guy, heard about everything, their content guy. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm sending you knives. Just send me bloody pics of the knife. He's like, skin the bear with it and tell us how it is. They sent me free knives. Their knives sell out every time they do a drop.
Yeah.
I have free knives from them. They sent them because they wanted me to experience it. They were excited. Stone Glacier, they're the pack company that we use. Mm-hmm. Outstanding packs. They make some very high-end apparel. Zach had their down jacket. Mm-hmm. Like, I need a down jacket. We should have had down jackets. We didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be that fucking cold, and neither did Zach. Zach was like, it's a little colder than I thought it was going to be. But, like, everything that these top-end hunting companies do is top-notch. Mm-hmm. The Kuyu, we use Kuyu apparel. Like, it's made for an active hunter. They do not make their apparel for out of shape, hard to button your pants. No, they're making apparel for you to go fucking hike and hunt. Mm-hmm. Like their pants, their shirts, the designs, the material. Bro, it was wild. Mm-hmm. Super cool. Super cool. I might be semi-obsessed with hunting apparel. It's the coolest fucking stuff.
I mean, it was cool. I tried Jay's stuff on. It's pretty nice.
The pants were really nice. Yeah. I was like, I really like these pants, even though the pants that we bought were like $169. But I'm like, now when we're out there, we were wearing the same fucking pants every day.
Yeah.
They better fucking work.
Yeah.
And like, it was just, and what we were doing, you couldn't have baggy ass, like uncomfortable pants. They needed to be form fit to be active. They were, the apparel was designed for active hunters. Mm-hmm. So big Kuyu fan. He had some Sitka. Sitka's also another big company. He loves Cryptic. It was just such a cool, it's a community of people. And of course, there probably are a bunch of douchebags in the hunting community, just like there's douchebags in the bodybuilding community, but there is also a stupid amount of absolutely beautiful, wonderful people in bodybuilding, just as there are in hunting and triathletes. There's probably a douchebag triathlete somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like a child right now. All I'm going to do is shoot my bow. I had to learn how to shoot very quickly with a fixed blade, fixed broadhead rather than a mechanical.
Yeah.
Because here we shoot with mechanicals, but in Idaho you weren't allowed to shoot with a mechanical.
Ah.
So I had no idea. So, yeah.
Learning.
Yep. Lots of fun. But everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support. I went on a trip of a lifetime. I was so glad that Jay and I experienced it together. We stayed in our sheep herder's tent, like Jake and Heath in Brokeback Mountain. We slept next to each other. A couple of nights, Jay was snoring really loud. I'd jack him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't get so close. We didn't share a sleeping bag.
I didn't know if it got too cold that you had to use each other.
If it got super cold, like if it dropped below 20, I'd have thought about getting a little closer to Jay.
Yeah.
I thought about joining sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Yeah. No bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to die out there from the mountain.
I wouldn't want you dying.
If I got to get naked with Jay, I'm comfortable enough with my sexuality.
Yeah. And you're like a heater.
Yeah. I'm warm.
Yep.
I'm warm.
Yep.
Jay's soft and sensual. His hair smells nice.
I don't even know what to say.
He's like, it's all true. I know.
He's like, I know.
And everybody here doesn't talk about it, but I have a great dick. But it was beautiful. Thank you all for the support. You guys, we captured this all. Jay's has tons of videos to edit. The first video of the actual hunt is underway, and it's pretty fucking cool already, but we want to make sure that it is spectacularly done because we have a feeling this is going to be a highly viewed video and a lot of people are going to go onto it and watch, be excited, criticize, you name it. I expect it all now, but thank you all for the support. I am very rejuvenated in the sense of I want to spread more good shit, even more than we have already. Thank you for all the support. We have an All American Roughneck release coming up with some stupendous pictures in the wilderness. So, and we might be bringing back the deal we do every June. And fortunately, with the hard work of Bob and the team, with as expensive as everything is, inflation and all of that, because of our order quantities and because of the hard work of Bob and finding and doing the right things for our company, we will be doing 5 for $100 mix and match t-shirts, tank tops,
Long sleeves.
and long sleeves.
Yep.
So we are doing the best deal that we do every single year, where it is five t-shirts, tank tops, or long sleeves for $100.
Yep.
Outstanding.
Yep. All of our brand new custom
tees,
long sleeves,
raglans.
These are not off the shelf tees, guys. These are
Our
cut, sewn, produced for us for AAR.
Full custom designed by us. It is outstanding. The material, the fitment, everything, completely designed by Bob and our team. And we are able to do 5 for $100 for your summer bash.
Yep.
And if you order on next Thursday, June 23rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, motherfucker, we will make sure that you have every item for the 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
That is our goal. Again, we can't thank you enough for all the support. It is a beautiful thing. And keep being good motherfuckers, everybody. Spread them cheeks. Show it off.